Sleepy town settling for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
You just jinxed yourself.
Yeah. I wanted to tell you something else. I don't remember what it was. Oh, that's what it was. This season feels so much more like easier. I know we're not even really into summer, but if we're going to take our holiday break, it feels right around the corner.
Yeah,
I know we have many weeks to go, but I'm like, wow,
Are we taking up summer break this year?
We're not taking a summer break.
We're not taking a summer break.
No.
No.
But I'm saying it just feels like less of a drag, maybe because we don't have the music on top of it.
Yeah. Last year was a lot. It was, we just got back from Boston and like, I don't know how many months after that, we were just toast.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. It just feels like kind of easier this time.
Oh, God.
Hey, Witch, hey.
Hey, Witch, hey. I'm Justina.
I'm Christina. Welcome to Magnolia Street, your one and only musically inspired practical magic fandom podcast.
Every week, we deep dive on different aspects of the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own practical magic inspired original music.
Which has debuted by this point in time.
It has.
We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So
yeah, we hope you guys are enjoying that album, by the way.
Yeah. This week, we're going to be diving into fire, and it's our third installment in our elemental series, and it's the element of passion, transformation, both the warmth and the danger of magic. We're going to be taking you through Alice's books and the film per usual, and after the break, we'll get into all the metaphysical, the magic, and the folklore. But first, can I just share what I found in my yard yesterday?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I marcoed the wisteria vine as soon as I could because my little ass, I knew what I was seeing, but I didn't trust my eyes because I've never seen it in the wild before. I was in my front garden. Lo and behold, the witch's herb, nightshade, belladonna, growing in the wild. I've never tended to this garden. I just kind of dump leaves there every now and then. And I marcoed you guys. I was like, I know what this is and y'all know what this is, but now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. So did you take a screenshot of what I sent you? Because I just Google photo searched it and it was like deadly black nightshade. I was like, no shit.
I screenshotted the marker you sent and then I plugged it into my Picture This app, which identifies any plant. That's the first thing that came up. And I was like, oh my God, it's nightshade.
I know. There's no practical use for it here at my home. No. It's probably kind of dangerous to keep around. You said Avi would probably just mow over it.
I told you when I found out that I had mugwort in my yard and I was like, no, don't mow over it. But I mean, at least mugwort's not deadly poisonous. I mean, it does have some hallucinogenic properties, and you do have to kind of be careful with it, but it's not like nightshade, that shit's dark.
My phone was dying 10% yesterday when I was messaging you, and I wanted to say now if I could only find some mugwort out in the wild, that would make my day. But I think I put a little cage around it, and I put a little trellis for it to be supported. But I think I'm going to get a cool little, not terrarium, but a Victorian cage to put around it. Aaron was like, why are you planting this stuff? I said, I wasn't planting it at all, Garen. He thinks I'm going to take it out.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no purpose for it. I mean, unless you have a Jimmy boyfriend hanging around,
Right. But this is also a 4-inch tall plant as well.
The berries on it, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
The berries? Okay.
They're smaller than my little pinky fingernail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're little.
Okay. They
look
little
babies.
Bigger in the video that you sent over.
They weren't super shiny either. So I'm wondering if more ripe berries get a more sheen.
Maybe.
I was just blown away, and I told Just that this feels like just another one of those signs that we're on the right path, and I'm being blessed by some dark goddess out there that magic lives here, like you said. So that was exciting to find.
Obviously, I always see the 444, but also seeing a lot of cardinals lately, and that's my spirit bird, and they just I'll be driving and they'll just go right past my windshield. And I'm like, that is so weird. Does this happen to anybody else? Because if not, then maybe it's a sign. I don't know.
Have you noted which direction they typically are crisscrossing you? Maybe that has a meaning.
I think mostly they go from left to right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It feels like forward motion because that's how we write. like in English, left to right.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I mean, there might have been a couple that have gone the other direction, but the past like few that I've seen like fly right across my path have been left to right.
Cool.
So,
Yeah.
very
I just think it's
strange.
like a very charged time. This summer we're gonna be
Solstice?
jumping some hurdles. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
But also, so before we get into the episode last night, Jess was sharing with me all the amazing new developments that we've had heading into the final swing of our EP release. So, Jess, can you give us a rundown on what's been going on with the album and everything over on Bandcamp?
Oh my God. In the first, like, when did I post this? Pre-sales open on June 13th. Today's the 17th, so I don't know, do the math. How many days? 4 days ago.
Yeah.
Right? That was 4 days ago. So in 4 days, we have sold $154.99 in sales. And not to be like all like sales pitchy, but like, isn't that a little like, and so the cool thing about Bandcamp is that you can set your price, but then like you can also give people the option to pay more if they want to. If they want to support the project more. Some people weren't listeners at the time when we were running the campaign. Some people have just discovered us and maybe they didn't get to support our campaign, but they want to support us now. So it's a nice way to do that. And like, we only put our album up for like $4.44. I mean, it's not that big of a chunk
I would
of change.
pay
Like, it's
under
like
$5.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's under a cup of coffee, right? It's just like less than a cup of coffee. But some people are paying like a
More than
pretty
that.
significant amount of money for this.
It's
and
so
I'm like, wow.
appreciated.
Thank you so much. Like, it's crazy.
you.
I'm like, that's amazing. So thank you everybody who has pre-saved thus far. And at the time of recording this episode, yeah, the album has not even dropped yet. We're recording this on Tuesday, June 17th. The album comes out in like 4 days.
Yeah.
So by the time this episode comes out, though, the album will have already been out for well over a week, right? But
it'll be 1 week old. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Happy week birthday.
Yeah, happy week birthday for our album. And we hope you guys enjoyed the very special album release that we did last week. So go listen to that episode. There's a lot of fun little goodies in there from our production team, from our listeners. Well, you guys have already heard it by now, but like I'm speaking from the future or the past. I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Yeah.
So
and also, I wanted to share another message from one of our listeners. All right. I did not include this in the album release special because she had already sent a message for that one. So I'll just play it now. But this is from Fifth Alchemy.
So I need to share this with you because it's freaking hilarious. I torture my husband by humming certain songs and then it gets in his head and he can't stop. I did this with Pink Pony Club. Yeah, now he sings Pink Pony Club all the time. So I've been humming this whole weekend. Let's go down to Magnolia Street. Yesterday he is that and I was like a song. And he's like, oh. And then he hears me again. He goes, God, what is that? It's Magnolia Street. And he goes, who's that? The girls from the podcast. And he's like, is it a practical magic thing? I'm like, yeah, it's a practical magic thing. He's like, oh. And then later on that day, yesterday, I hear him in the kitchen, a little bit humming it. And then I'm humming it again, and I'm humming it again while we were working in the yard and whatever. By last night, this morning, we talk about this, and he's making coffee, and I hear him going, to Magnolia Street. And I'm like, yes! But I couldn't record him because he hates when I put the camera on him, but I'm going to try to get him on the sneak if he does it again.
That's adorable.
How funny is that?
I love that. Her little whispering. It's like, this is a secret just for us. It's really cute. Try being our husbands because
I know, really.
How many times have I heard now from Aaron, a banana tree? Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm sure Avi's sick of Magnolia Street by now. He had to heard it. He had to heard it. He had to hear it for like 2 weeks combined between both Boston trips.
It's an earworm.
While I'm editing, he hears it all the time. So I'm sure he's just like sick of this song by now.
Thanks, girl. I hope you can catch your husband singing that. That would be hilarious.
Yeah, if anybody else has husbands they, can sneak up on singing this song, send it in.
Yeah.
Send it in. We want to hear that.
Cute. Thank you.
That's amazing.
We have quite a bit of fire to talk about. More so, I think, than air and earth because I did the books a little differently.
All right.
And the movie, I really tried to pick apart.
Okay.
So if we're ready, let's get into our topic of the day, which is the element of fire. One of my favorite quotes is, "The heart is an organ of fire." And this comes from the 1993 novel, The English Patient by Michael Onjati. In the story, it's spoken by the mysterious, passionate character of Almashi, a Hungarian cartographer and desert explorer who becomes entangled in a forbidden love affair. We won't go too deep into this, but I used to watch this film all the time. Young girl, I was like, "Ooh, this is so steamy," and like the longing is there. Watching it as an adult, I'm like, y'all are making bad choices.
Oh no. I've never seen it.
It's good. It's very good. So this simple but potent phrase captures the essence of what it means to live passionately, to love fiercely, and to face the world with both vulnerability and courage. And in practical magic, and throughout the Owens family saga, the idea pulses in every whispered spell, every candlelit prayer, and every hard-won truth. The other thing about that audio you just played for me is her repetition of that song is so spell-like. It is a spell, and it's just kind of leached into her household, which is really cool.
I know. I hope it does that to everybody.
I know. Yeah, the heart isn't just a vessel for blood and life. It's a forge, an engine of desire and determination. And to say that the heart is an organ of fire is to honor its power to create, to destroy, and to transform. It reminds us that in matters of love, magic, and survival, the heart is not made of glass or stone. It is a flame.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, fire is the spark that ignites our will and drives our magic. It's the warmth that comforts, the light that guides, and the blaze that consumes. In the stories of the Owens family, it's both a tool and a curse. The flame of love, the crackle of revenge, and the final rite of release. We'll explore fire's role in Wicca and spellwork, its cardinal direction of south, its colors of red and gold, and its ties to the wand and the blade, and also the summer solstice, right? We'll see how fire is woven into the tarot through the suit of wands, lighting the path of creativity, inspiration, and fierce determination. So pour yourself a little something warm, settle in, and let's explore the magic and mystery of fire, the element that burns in every spell and every heart. And we're going to start with the books today and then simmer our way into the film. I like the choice words here. Fire is one of 5 elements, and these are sometimes tied with the cardinal directions north, south, east, west. In Wicca and in most neo-pagans' faith, the elements, for example, the classical elements, are earth, air, fire, and water, and the 5th element, spirit, are the building blocks of the universe, found in everything in the entire world, and bringing about the never-ending cycle of destruction and new creation that underlies all existence. So going back into the cardinal directions, we have north is earth, east is air, south is fire, west is water, and above and below is spirit. And we've already done episodes for earth and air. I guess at this point, after this episode, we can start to compile our Spotify playlist for just the elementals, so you guys can find all of these episodes in one place. We still got to do water and spirit, so keep a lookout for those. Probably do those sometime in the near future. But before we get into the element itself, let's first discuss fire and how it relates to the world of practical magic.
So we're going to start with magic lessons, and we're going to do something a little different because this is so prevalent in all 4 books. I was not going to take every single line. We're going to give you the overarching theme of how fire plays into these stories. So firstly, let's get into magic lessons, where Alice uses fire not just as scenery or setting, but as its own character and its own right. Fire follows Maria Owens from birth to exile to power, and it lives in her memory, her rituals, her fear, and her resistance. In many ways, it's defining her story. So fire is Maria's beginning. She's born into a world already smoldering. There's the mention of the Great Fire of London, which ravages the city when she's only 2 years old. And this is, in the same country, and it's in the UK. It's an origin marked by collective destruction, one that sets the tone for a life where loss and survival are forever intertwined. The smoke of that fire hangs in the air for weeks and in Maria's psyche for years. As she grows up under Hannah's care, Maria learns to both fear and revere fire. Hannah keeps water by the hearth, lives in a house protected from sparks, and teaches Maria not only the properties of flame, but its magic. The hearth becomes sacred, a site of warmth, wisdom, and spellcasting. Maria is given her own tinderbox, her own fire to tend. This is where she begins to understand that fire is not only feared, but used. Throughout the story, fire emerges as a tool of magic. It's where herbs are burned to summon and banish, where salt is tossed for 7 days to call a lover home, where wax figures are cast it for revenge. In these moments, fire is both sacred and strategic. It amplifies will, and it obeys the intention placed behind it. But fire is also trauma. When Hannah's house is set ablaze by men who see her as disposable, they fear her, right? They're coming after her. It marks a turning point. Maria watches as the poison garden goes up in flames. The yarrow, the foxglove, wolfsbane, lords and ladies are all burning, and the smoke is thick with grief and rage, right? Hannah is trapped in the house, right?
I think so. And isn't her cat like nailed to the door or something?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they
Did a number. Fire here isn't magical, it's weaponized. And it's a reminder that power in the wrong hands destroys everything. Still, Maria returns to fire again and again. She burns her hair as a ritual of transformation, casting her old identity into flames. She cremates her familiar Caden because she cannot leave him trapped in the ground. So she uses fire to free him, just as it frees her. As always, there's candle magic and magic lessons. The candle isn't just a source of light, it's a vessel, a flickering, steady presence that carries intention, devotion, and consequence. From the start, candles are a sign of hope and power in Hannah's world. When a child is ill or a spirit is restless, women come to her doors seeking relief, protection, or a way to call back what's been lost or somebody else's husband. Candle is always part of the answer, making a boundary between the world and the next, or carrying a wish into the air. Hannah teaches Maria these things. She teaches her the language of candles: white for health, black for expunging sorrow, red for love, and as always, that delicate, dangerous balance, because once the wick is lit, the spell is alive. Maria learns to prick her third finger on her left hand with a silver needle and light the candle, an offering of blood and flame to bring back a lover. She learns to wrap a red candle in red paper soaked in dove's blood and whisper the ancient incantation that love will be conquered no matter the price. Alice also describes mandrake, the legendary root used in love potions, as both dragon and man. More on dragons in a minute. This is invoking fire's raw, untamed power. So first mentioned in Genesis and later called Circe's plant by the Greeks, mandrake carries ancient mythic wisdom. Its human-like roots give rise to tales of it screaming when it's uprooted, so powerful and alive that harvesters would tie it to a dog, sacrificing the animal to avoid the plant's wrath. It's an herb of fierce love and perilous magic, channeling fire not only as transformation, but as danger, desire, and the volatility of passion. Hoffman's evocation of mandrake underscores fire's double edge, both healing and haunting, seductive and scorching. Alice also gives us one of the most harrowing portrayals of fire as both spectacle and scar regarding Samuel. Samuel is haunted in his dreams. He recalls the public burning of his mother, an execution steeped in symbolism. The sackcloths, the robes, at the time his mother was put to death, were painted with dragons and flames, rosary beads, and green and yellow candles. It was not just death by fire, it was fire as shame and purification and political theater. The moment speaks of the weaponization of fire throughout history, used not only for destruction, but to shape legacy and identity. Here, dragons, often elemental guardians, become part of a punitive costume, transforming myth to horror. The bitterness of the smoke isn't just physical, it's ancestral. Where much of fire magic invokes power, passion, transformation, this passage reminds us that fire also holds memory, persecution, and the need for ritual healing across generations.
I don't remember that scene at all where his mother gets
brief.
executed. Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. So in a list Alice has for health, she mentions dragon's blood from tree bark and berries from the Dracaena Draco, the red resin tree from Morocco, and the Canary Islands that can only be found in one market in London and can cure nearly any wound. We talked about this ages ago and we found out this is a real tree. They're beautiful. They're very, very cool looking. So according to Wiki, I was like, what is this actually used for something? And it is, because we've all heard of dragon's blood, and I think we should do its own episode at some point.
All right.
But so as far as this tree, when the bark or the leaves are cut, they secrete a reddish resin, one of several sources of substances known as dragon's blood. Red resins from the tree contain many mono and dimeric flavins that contribute to the red color of the resin. Dragon's blood, like I said, which I was going to expand upon later, we can touch on it a little bit, but I figured since it's kind of a big deal, maybe we should just have it be its own episode, but let me know what you think. So this has a number of traditional medicinal uses. Although dragon's blood obtained from Dracaena Draco was not known until the 15th century, and analyses suggest that most dragon's blood used in art was obtained from species genus called Calamus. Isn't that a holiday?
No, I was thinking like calamus, like calamine lotion.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I have no idea what that is. is.
Formerly placed in a diamond wraps. Diamonorops.
Diamonds!
The primary and secondary plant body are the site of the secretory plant tissue that forms dragon's blood. These tissues include ground parenchyma cells and cortex cells. Dragon's blood from the Dracaena Draco and Dracaena cinnabari can be distinguished by differences in 10 compounds and the dominant flavonoid DRC11 missing from the Dracaena Draco.
I'm wondering if the Dracaena cinnabari is like a cinnamon bark. or
Yeah,
something,
that's
or-
what I'm hearing too.
Yeah, cinnabar.
So jumping back into the books, candles, of course, always become a tool for release. And when Rebecca, Maria's biological mother, wants to break the love spell, the ninth, Hannah writes the names of the bewitched on a white candle and speaks, "I burn this candle as a token of the spell that binds our love. Let this magic now be broken by gods above." They watch the candle sink beneath the water, its flame extinguish, and the spell dissolves like smoke in the air. But candles aren't just for passionate or desperate, they're for grieving too. Going back to when she has to bury her familiar Caden, she sets the fire beside the lake, cremation as a sacred release. I want to be cremated, or I want just like one of the wooden coffins. Don't put me in a metal box.
I
That
wanna
sounds
be-
awful.
I want to become a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I want to be everywhere. So even in the hush of heartbreak, she uses fire as a final devotion, letting the wind carry his ashes upward. Candles also hold that danger. When Maria tries to forget a love she can't bear, she writes John's name on a white candle and throws it into the sea. But as Hannah warned her, some things can't be burned away. Some spells, especially the ones we cast on ourselves, are beyond even the best candle magic. Then there's that moment of defiance when Samuel catches Maria tending black candles around the bed of his dying father, Abraham. He stomps them out one by one because he knows what she's trying to do. He knows that while candles can heal or harm, it can't stop what's already written on the soul. He knows his father has to die. Everyone has to die.
Yeah.
So throughout magic lessons, candles are the flame of will. They are the steady breath of prayer, the heat of longing, of grief, of release, the reminder that magic isn't just about power, it's about consequences. Every candle lit by Maria's world carries a choice. Do you wish to love? Do you wish for freedom? Do you wish to let go? And once you light that candle, you have to see it through until the last wisp of smoke, the last whisper of flame, until the spell is spent and you're left with only the truth. There's a line on page 202. It says, "This time they are not so barbaric as to set her on fire. They thought themselves too godly for such pagan practices and left fire and water to those heedless fools in Europe." And it's a nod to a very real and a very dark chapter of history called the Burning Times, often used to describe the centuries-long period in Europe where thousands of people, mostly women, were accused of witchcraft and executed. Marks one of the most intense clashes between superstition and power. From roughly the 1400s to the 1700s, fear and religious fervor fueled the flames. God damn. Fervor fueled the flames that consumed so many lives. Places like Germany, Scotland, France, fire was a chosen tool of purification and punishment. It was a public spectacle, a horrifying reminder of what happens when fear and patriarchal power demand a sacrifice. I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel that far away from that right now in our time in history. Like,
Yeah.
anything can shift to that degree all over again, unfortunately. In England and in New England, where Maria finds herself, the methods were different. Hanging, not burning, was the usual punishment, but the threat of fire still haunted the collective memory of those who practiced folk magic and stood outside the church's authority. For Maria, the memory of fire is always close. It's not just personal, it's ancestral. It's in the air she breathes, which we talked about last elemental episode. The trauma of the Burning Times is a weight carried by every woman who dared to speak out the truth, live alone, heal with herbs, or love who she loved. And we carry that witch wound till today, I think.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still alive and well, unfortunately.
Yes. It's an important reminder that while burning times are centuries behind us, the forces that fueled them, fear of others, control of women's bodies and voices, suspicion of magic, or free will, or just capital O other, still echo
Yeah,
today.
We talked a little bit about the witch wound on our episode. What was it? Episode 99, the rise of the divine feminine shortly after the election.
That
So
was a
that
good
one's worth
episode.
listening to. I just reposted the link to that one in our Instagram stories recently, like this past week, and I'm like, all the stuff
Good
that's going
timing.
on right now, all the protests with the No King's Day, like it's worth going back and listening to again. So I think
Yes.
everybody should go back and listen to that one.
I'll link that episode in the
Yeah.
when I post this one. Let me
That's
write it
amazing.
down.
Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, politically, like you can feel the collective fire bubbling right now, right? With like all these protests and everything. And it's like, and the reports that are coming out. And it's just amazing that, power of the people.
Yeah, the time is shifting.
It,
I'm excited. I'm scared.
I
I'm
know
excited.
it is horrifying, but it's like I feel like it's the tarot tower card.
Yeah.
The foundations need to crumble so we can rebuild. I think really what all of it is revealing is like all the cracks in our system that have been brushed under the rug for so long.
Mhm.
And maybe this is just our chance to rebuild. And maybe that's why we had to go through this really horrific part of history, but sometimes you need to go through that so your society can rebuild a much stronger foundation,
Aren't there flames on that card too within the
Yeah,
tower?
yep.
Yeah. Maria's refusal to let fire claim her is a kind of resistance, an act of remembering and a defiance all at once. So when we talk about fire in this episode, the power to destroy, purify, transform, we're also talking about the legacy of the element in our collective history. The burning times remind us that fire can be a weapon. It's a warning and it's a promise depending on who wields it and why. Even when she is wrong, Maria resists the temptation to use fire as vengeance. When her home could easily be burned to the ground in righteous fury, she remembers that what you send out into the world returns to you threefold. We're going to get into the threefold law next week. She knows better than to call fire for wrath. She lets it speak for grief, for memory, for defiance. In the end, fire becomes something more than destruction. It becomes a symbol of claiming power without cruelty. When she says, I walk where I wish, my heart is protected. It's not the fire that shields her, but the lesson of fire. In Maria Owens' world, and for so many women of that era, the hearth fire was life itself. Some of you listeners may have heard of Hestia, the goddess of the hearth, or the Vestal Virgins. We'll talk about later on after the break. But think about it. No central heating, no electric stoves, no Aga stoves that cost 40 grand.
Right.
No easy comfort. The hearth is where you cooked every meal, heated every bath, warmed every room. Without that flame, a home could become a place of cold and hunger overnight. But it wasn't just about survival. The hearth was also a gathering place where families shared stories, mended clothes, found community in the flickering flames. And for women, it was one place where they held complete dominion. In a world where women had little control, tending the hearth was hers. She was the keeper of the flame, the one who lit it in the morning, fed it throughout the day, and banged it down at night. The hearth wasn't just a place to cook, it was a sacred altar. In folk traditions, women would leave offerings of salt or bread at the hearth to bless the household. They'd burn herbs for protection and divination, whisper spells into the fire, and call down powers of the elements in simple, potent acts of kitchen magic. But that power has a double-edged sword. The same woman who kept her family warm and fed could also be seen as a witch, someone who knew too much about herbs or how to heal or how to read the dancing flames. The hearth was a source of safety but also superstition. That's why magic lessons. Maria Owens' relationship with fire and with the hearth itself is so layered. It's where she learns to trust her power and protect it, but it's where she understands that fire can be both a blessing and a curse depending on who holds it and how they use it. The hearth was also seen as a portal during that time, I guess, a place where the worlds of the living and the dead could touch. A flame at the hearth could carry intentions, a prayer whispered into the embers, a spoken spell into the smoke. It was a woman's domain and also her magic. So the next time you light a candle or tend to your hearth, your stove, your oven, remember this. You're tending the same ancient fire. You're holding a piece of that old power. And like the women who came before, you get to decide how it burns and what it brings to life. I'm making dough for donuts right now, so that's how I'm using my my power is carbs.
I'm just ordering takeout because I don't have time this week. That's how I'm tending to my hearth.
Hell yeah.
Just, Uber Eats, yes, please. I'm kind of like, I have a little bit of FOMO for like this point in history of like these women that have these like really fucking cool badass fireplaces to tend to. Like I just have a stove. So we're the modern witch, so
Adapt.
just utilize what you have. I envy anybody who has a fireplace, point blank, period. Like my bosses have one. And like when I'm cooking in the kitchen, sometimes like on a gloomy day, it's a gas fireplace. So like literally you just flip a light switch and it goes on.
That's so
So I'll
cool.
just I'll just go put the fire on, just have a little fire burning while I'm cooking in the kitchen and like
I
have
love
listening to
it.
my cozy podcast. And there's something just so cozy about a fireplace,
Hmm.
whether I use it for cooking or
Yeah,
not.
absolutely.
Yeah, Hestia, I read about her a while ago. I have was it the Farmer's Almanac or the Witch's Almanac? Like, the Witch's Almanac, how it comes with those like really pretty illustrations. I think the Llewellyn ones,
Oh, yeah.
they're really beautifully illustrated. And I remember specifically the one about Hestia, and I like ripped that page out and I kind of like pasted it in
Oh,
my
yeah.
journal.
We,
So
I don't
yeah,
know
I
what
like
episode
her a
it
lot.
was. I don't know where we talked
Yeah.
about kitchen magic before, but I used to have a little yellow candle on my stove, and that was like my Hestia candle. So anytime I'm
Hestia.
cooking, I'll light that candle and, have that
I
be
love
my
that.
little spell work while I'm
I like
cooking.
that.
I don't do that anymore because I get ADHD squirreled.
Oh, I know. We have so much going on now. It's
Hmm.
hard. That's why I'm like, I want to make it a point to celebrate the solstice at least, like,
Yeah. Hmm.
So I am doing that. So yeah, and whatever anybody has a time for it today. I know it's like we're like all hustle and bustle, and it's hard to be a non-hit or miss witch, but
Yeah.
we can muster. So, moving on to rules of magic. In the rules of magic, the element of fire is threaded through every page, sometimes as a soft glow of possibility, other times as a blaze of danger. Nowhere is this clearer than in the quiet flicker of candles. Those small, controlled flames that carry so much intention in the world of the Owens women. For Franny, Jet, and Vincent, candles are more than light. They're a tool, a way to call out to the world, to fate, and to the future. But they're also a test. Susanna, their mother, warns them early on: no candles, no moonlight, no Ouija boards, no pathways to a magic that could consume them. Because she knows the truth. Once you light the flame, you can't always control what it brings back. The siblings arrived at Isabel's on Midsummer's Eve, the summer solstice, when the day is so long it seems for once that there is all the time in the world. There's a spell in their family, one that promises if you drop a beloved's belonging into the candle flame, he'll find his way to your door by dawn. It's a dangerous promise, a way to let desire speak, but also a way to summon the very thing that might destroy you. Franny resists. She tells herself love is a lie. She pricks her finger, lights the candle, and dares the world to prove her wrong. Jet, on the other hand, doesn't need the candle to know her heart. She's already certain of her love, and no flame can change that. And even Vincent gets pulled into the dance. He watches as the candle burns down to the second pin, the sign that love has been called, that it's too late to turn back. And when the knock comes at the door, the sisters know that fire, once invited in, doesn't always leave cleanly. So is fire a vampire?
It's Halen.
Is it Edward Cullen? What's the dude's name from True Blood? Bill,
Oh, Compton.
Compton, Bill Compton. Yeah.
Let it be Eric Northman instead.
Yeah.
Come in.
Yeah, I just have that was it the pilot episode of when he like asks Sookie for permission to enter and you're like, "Ooh, girl, let him in." And then he just ravages her. And
I
I'm like,
don't like him. He's terrible. He's a terrible person.
yeah,
Vampire.
that whole show is problematic.
It's very cringe.
In a lot of ways. Yes. Yes. So, yeah, fire is a vampire. And Alice references the Belvedere Castle in Central Park, which features a dragon, specifically a cockatrice. Is that a type of dragon? I've never heard of that before. A cockatrice as an architectural embellishment over the entrance. So maybe it's like a gargoyle, maybe it's like a stone dragon that just decorates architecture. I don't know.
It's like a 2D carving above
Okay.
this doorway. Yeah.
Got it. This mythical creature, a type of two-legged dragon, has a rooster's head and is often associated with English folklore. The cockatrice at Belvedere Castle is not a living creature, but rather a stone carving or transom over the doorway, according to Wikipedia.
Okay, so cockatrice, like a rooster. That
Okay.
makes sense.
Got it.
Okay.
There's a brief but striking reference in the Rules of Magic, a mention of Django Reinhardt, the legendary jazz guitarist, on page 296, and this says, he found the guitar at the end of the day, a Selmer, the kind the brilliant gypsy musician Django Reinhardt had used. Reinhardt's third and fourth fingers were paralyzed and became webbed after he suffered burns in a fire, but he continued on with the style that was his alone. The guitar Vincent chose was made of laminated rosewood with a walnut neck and an ebony fingerboard. It had been made in the early 50s and had been banged around, but once Vincent picked it up, he didn't want to let it go. He hadn't played since his fingers had been broken, and so he was tentative at first, but he thought of what Django had gone through and how he'd managed to become one of the greatest jazz guitarists of all time. Therefore, he couldn't feel sorry for himself. So Vincent finds that guitar that belonged to Reinhardt, whose story itself is a testament to the element of fire, both in the literal and metaphorical sense. Django Reinhardt was a Romany French jazz guitarist. Since he went through that traumatic experience with his fingers, most people would have given up music entirely, but Django found a way to keep playing, and he created an entirely new style, which was a two-finger technique that became his signature style, a style born from survival. And that story mirrors what Alice Hoffman does so beautifully in The Rules of Magic. Because for Franny, Jet, and Vincent, fire is never just about destruction, it's about resilience, about finding a way to create something beautiful from the ashes of what's been lost. The guitar that Vincent chooses that's made of rosewood and ebony, the rich dark woods can survive and even thrive when tested by flames. So, I think that's a pretty cool, not parallel, but symbolism, right? Because that's pretty much what Django had to do to reinvent himself as a musician. He's kind of like the guitar himself, like thriving in that destruction. So it's a quiet echo of Django's spirit, that even when fire scars us, we can still make music with what's left. The fire may change us, but it doesn't have to end us. And I think that's the important sentiment to take away. But it's not just candles. Fire takes on another form in their story, a more dangerous one. When they're older, traveling by boat in a storm, they're caught between the elements of fire and water. Lightning strikes, and the building they shelter in catches fire around them. Wait.
What?
What is this talking about?
Oh, this is talking about their parents.
Okay.
Wait.
Right.
Sally and Gillian's parents.
Yeah. Okay. So was that Regina?
Regina. And he had two names.
Yeah.
Jack and Regina?
Yeah, Jack. But in the movie, was it something else?
I think in the books it was something else.
Yeah, but in the movie and the book, it was two different things, right?
Yeah. I can't remember which is which.
Yeah, I can't either. But yeah, so when they're so that they're traveling that boat in a storm, they're caught between the elements of fire and water. Lightning strikes, and then the building that they shelter in catches fire around them. So they're asleep, holding each other close, oblivious to the flames creeping closer. So yeah, that's just saying that Sally and Gillian's parents were killed by fire. And then we have the lightning strike, or the fate, and the curse, fire from the sky. So in Rules of Magic, there's a moment that crackles with both tragedy and magic, a lightning strike that seals the fate of two boys caught in a sudden storm. Again, with the the lightning thing is kind of like a reoccurring theme, right? In these books.
Yeah.
The boys are running through the park, rain pouring down when the sky splits open. The sisters Franny and Jet watch in horror as lightning, a force of fire from the sky, strikes the boys down in an instant. Blue smoke rises from their bodies, and it's an image that's as shocking as it is heartbreaking. And this is more than a freak accident. The town might call it unpredictable, but Franny knows the truth. This is the curse at work. In the world of the Owens family, fire isn't just in the hearth. It's in the sky, it's in the storm, it's in the very air around them, waiting to be called. In the smell of sulfur, the same smell that accompanies spells and brimstone, hints that this lightning is no random strike. It's an elemental reminder of the family's power, but also their burden. And the curse that follows them, the price of love and magic, played out in a flash of light. Fire can be tended in a hearth, controlled in a candle, but lightning is wild. It's fire that doesn't answer to human will, a force that comes from above, sudden and absolute. For Franny and Jet, it's a moment that crystallizes the tension at the heart of their story, that they can feel the magic in the air, but they can't always control how it manifests or who it touches. And for us as readers, it's a stark reminder that fire, whether it's in the hearth or in the sky, can both create and destroy, and that sometimes the very thing that lights our way can also be the thing that marks us forever. And the odds of being struck by lightning in the United States in a given year are about 1 in 1.2 million. So very slim that, you could be struck by lightning. However, over your lifetime, assuming an average lifespan of about 80 years, the odds increase to about 1 in 15,300. So it's important to remember that these are just averages. Your individual risk of being struck by lightning can increase or decrease depending on various factors, such as your location. Lightning is more frequent in some areas than others. For example, Florida is known as the lightning capital of the country, with a higher number of lightning injuries and deaths compared to other states. Also, you have to take into account the time of the year and day. Most lightning deaths occur during the summer months, particularly in July. 2 out of 3 lightning deaths occur between noon and 6 p.m. That is such a weird...
Specific.
Yeah, that's oddly specific. And then also, you have to take into consideration your activity. If you're engaging in outdoor activities, especially those involving water or open spaces, this increases your risk. And examples include fishing, boating, playing sports, and working outdoors. Like, I don't know, did your mom ever, like, as a kid, if you're like in a pool and it's like a little bit of rain happens, she's like, get out of the pool! You're gonna get struck by lightning! Like, even if there's like no thunder rumbling, it's just like a little mist, get out of the pool!
I think the Pennsylvania community pool I went to was a little more lenient because I remember it raining, but until we heard lightning, or the guards would be like, okay, get out. And then we would wait, and then we could go back in.
Yeah, if there's no thunder, then, you know, I think you're in the clear. But yeah, my mom was a psychopath with that shit. Like, get out. This is strange. Males are 4 times more likely to be struck by lightning than females. Why is that?
Why? Because they got a lightning rod.
Yo, you didn't even miss a beat. Amazing. No, that's great.
I wonder too. Yeah, because they do dumb shit and we live longer, I guess. I don't know.
I'm dying. Oh my God, I'm dead. You killed me. You just struck me with lightning. That is so strange. Yeah. But yeah, I guess don't go running across any grassy knolls when it's, you know, a freaking lightning storm out.
Holding metal rods in an open field or anything. Don't do that.
Yeah, I think that's like my irrational fear. Like, even running from my driveway to the house when it's lightning sometimes, I'm like, I'm gonna get struck by lightning.
I know, like, does it like a moving target? Does it like a little bit of challenge?
It doesn't like a moving target. Yeah, it's like whack-a-mole for it, I guess. Like, you know, like, I don't know. That's...
God damn.
But,
well, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just imagine. We learn how lightning, fire from the sky, marks the Owens family with tragedy in our previous book, but the theme of fire, sudden, consuming nature doesn't end there. It follows the Owens bloodline right into practical magic, where it takes the form of a more domestic flame, a house fire. This one we got a glimpse of when Justina told us about the fire starting in the, like, not dojo, like the little house.
Wait, what?
Island house that their parents were in, Sally and Gillian's parents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When Sally and Gillian first come to live on Magnolia Street, the echoes of their past are still fresh. And we're told that their parents did die in a fire. Back in Rules of Magic, I guess it said, but something had gone wrong. That much was evident. The girls were woken in the middle of the night by the babysitter, a teenager who had become hysterical. The sisters couldn't make out a word she was saying. They clutched each other and tried to make sense of the babysitter's ramblings. She mentioned a phone call from the sheriff, and then she talked about fire and water, which they knew never mixed. Their parents had taken a canoe down the Russian River, loaded down by their father's fishing equipment and their mother's paints and canvases and pastels that had been sent from Paris. When the rains commenced, suddenly, without warning, the canoe overturned. Daniel!
That's it. In the movie, it's Jack.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Nearly went under in a rushing tide, but he managed to hang on to the hull of the boat. Their mother, so buoyant because they can't sink. Yeah, this must be Rules of Magic.
Yeah.
She could not be drowned, floating alongside him, saying encouraging words so he wouldn't give up. Then, at last, they made it to shore. They were grateful for their luck. There was a small motel, not a dojo, and they checked in to wait out the storm. But they must have dozed off, and they didn't hear that the storm worsened and the lightning struck the building. They were tangled together in bed, deeply asleep, not recognizing that there were curses in the world, and they were still there, their arms around each other, when the fire began, with smoke filtering through the walls of the room. And this continues then back into practical magic, saying the children, after all, were orphans whose careless parents were so much in love they failed to notice smoke emanating from the walls of the bungalow, is the word I was looking for.
Dojo.
where they'd gone to enjoy a second honeymoon after leaving the girls home with a babysitter. No wonder the sisters always shared a bed during storms. They were both terrified of thunder, could never speak above a whisper once the sky began to rumble. Sally actually puts guilt upon herself over all of this. Surprise, surprise. This says Sally spent her whole life being vigilant, and that takes logic and good common sense. If her parents had had her with them, she would have smelled the acrid scent of flame, of fire. She knows that she would. She would have seen the blue spark that fell onto the rug, the first of many, where it glittered like a star. This is so sad for a kid to take this on. Yeah. And then a river of stars, shiny and blue on the shag carpeting, just before it all burst into flame.
You think in a way that's why she's afraid to use her magic, because like we know like a big part of her magic is her like doing the whole like flame candle trick, you know? And I don't know, maybe in a way every time she has to do that, maybe she thinks of her parents.
Oh, I never thought of that. That is really sad. Yeah. As for Sally and Gillian, that legacy shapes how they navigate love, loss, and the unpredictable power that lives in every flickering flame, just like Justina said. There's a mention on 199. It says, in practical magic, Alice uses lightning as a powerful image and a natural force that strikes suddenly, leaving permanent marks. It's the cousin of fire, a flash that can destroy in an instant. For Gary Hallett, lightning is more than a weather phenomenon. It's a family memory, a sign of how quickly fate can change. He thinks about two men he knows who survived being struck by lightning. One was a boy in his high school, a promising athlete whose life was forever changed with a single crack of thunder. A fireball that left his hand charred like a stake. A sound in his bones like keys being rattled. That boy learned that once you've been struck, the fear of it happening again can stop you in your tracks. And the other person is Gary's own grandfather, Sonny, a man who spent his days in a haze of whiskey until the sky itself came down and slapped him. Lightning left his eyebrows gone for good, his skin marked, and his life transformed. He never took another drink after that. It was as if the fire in the sky had burned out his need for it. A final electric act of cleansing. So for Gary, these stories are a reminder that lightning is never ruled by logic, that love, like lightning, strikes without warning, that some forces like fate or passion or family curses can't be reasoned with. They're sudden, they're powerful, and they leave scars that last a lifetime. For the Owens sisters and for everyone touched by the family's legacy, it's a reminder that sometimes the things that change us forever come from above, unpredictable, electric, and unstoppable. And I just noted that Alice takes everybody out with lightning.
I think Alice likes playing God.
yeah.
Just kill him with fire.
Yeah.
Kill him with lightning.
She's little Zeus up there.
Oh my
Mr.
God,
Lightning Bolts.
So funny. Alice, what are you doing?
We should give her a little lightning star.
Let these people live. This poor family.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that Gary's grandfather got struck by lightning. It didn't kill him though, right?
No.
I don't remember what ultimately killed his grandfather. Do you remember?
I don't either.
Yeah, was it like a heart attack or?
I'm gonna say old age. All right, let's be positive about that one.
Yeah, everybody gets struck by lightning in these books. Nobody's safe.
No one's safe.
All right, so I guess with that, we're going on to the last book here, the Book of Magic. And in the Book of Magic, surprise, surprise, Alice Hoffman uses fire not just as scenery or momentary flash. It's a living presence, flickering in every corner of the story. Fire trails the Owens family like a shadow and a promise, marking both the curses they inherit and the power they wield. In many ways, fire defines their story. Fire is Kylie's beginning. Her nightmare of a burning garden is a premonition, a sign that something is about to be torn apart. When she wakes to see smoke on the ceiling, she already knows. Her heart clenches and her chest tightens. Fire becomes the first messenger of grief, the first spark of the unraveling. It's the breath of fate in the air, carrying news that Gideon has been hit, that the curse she thought buried deep in her chest has finally found its voice. And as we move deeper into the story, Tom is shaped by fire too, from the time that he was a boy. Tom was known for setting flames in the thickets, for trouble that grew like a slow blaze in the dark. Fire follows him like a scar. At the manor house, he uses it not just to illuminate the room, but to conjure a curse. He sets the red madder root aflame, watching as smoke rises and bees flee from the hidden honeycombs. Interesting, because he uses the madder root. Isn't the madder root the same thing that Franny uses to dye her hair red?
Yeah, how about that?
Right?
How about that?
The fire flares orange and blue, then red, a color of revenge, of curses returning home. In this moment, fire becomes Tom's fury made real, the beating heart of his vengeance. But Fire in the Book of Magic isn't only about destruction, it's also about the rituals that give shape to the Owens women's lives. In Margaret Wright's family lore, there's a story of a woman burned alive for practicing the nameless art, an ancestral warning that fire is both a tool and a test. It's the same legacy that runs through Midsummer's Eve celebrations, where women dance in Devotion Field until midnight, claiming fire's power as their own. And then there's the forest itself, described as a living creature with breath and fire and water and air. Fire is woven into the bones of the world, just as it's woven into the hearts of those who walk beneath the trees. And then there's Ian, marked in ink, his skin a canvas of symbols, the elemental triangle of fire, a demon trap, demons, alchemical glyphs, and a ring with opposites fused in glass. But what stands out the most? It's a dragon and a scorpion. One is fire incarnate, will, mastery, and ancient power, and the other is a guardian of venom and boundary. Protective, precise, and deeply feared. And together they tell a story. Fire is not always light. Sometimes it burns to protect. Sometimes it stings to survive. And just like the dragon or the scorpion, sometimes fire asks us to hold both truths, fierceness and focus, passion and poison, initiation and defense, all in the same flame. So Alice introduces the Draco tree, which we talked about before, the Dracaena Draco, a mythical fire-aligned plant said to sprout from the scarlet blood of a dragon. Native to the Canary Islands and Morocco, its deep red resin carries potent, almost alchemical properties. When used medicinally, this quote, dragon's blood can revive the paralyzed body or mind, restoring movement and clarity within hours. Stored in a metal canister, watched over like something volatile and sacred, the Draco's bark and leaves are treated with reverence. Boiled into a tonic, the resin coats the tongue, enters the bloodstream, and quite literally sets the healing in motion, a symbolic and literal fire running through the veins. It's one of the most powerful herbal nods to fire in the entire practical magic universe, myth, medicine, and magic all in one. And they do say, like, if you want to, like, supercharge or pack any spell with a punch, you just add a little bit of that dragon's blood, right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. And for like the longest time, like I remember as like a 13-year-old going to witch shops and seeing the dragon's blood for sale, and I'd be like, what, like, but what is it though? Is it, because I mean, like, dragons aren't real, so what is it?
From the tree. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know.
We never knew.
I didn't know shit. Like, you know, these are things that you learn when you're older and you're like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. It's like a mythical, magical name for, you know, an herb or powder.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, I was like, what is it really though? Like,
yeah, I have new toe of frog situation.
Exactly. All right. So throughout the story, fire emerges as a tool of magic. Kylie follows Tom's wet footprints to the manor house, where he uses flame and smoke to summon the plague. His curse turned red and alive, and he chants the invocation, and the smoke turns from gray to red, rising up the chimney to become clouds of death dispatched by the wind. Fire here is a weapon, but it's also a window, and Tom's anger and bitterness is made visible.
COVID vibes there.
Yeah, that whole passage is very COVID vibes. Got PTSD reading that shit. Okay, so yet fire is also a test of resilience. When Tom's fury explodes, Kylie meets it with her own defiance. She refuses to be broken by the blaze, even as the red glowworms of light spark around her. She doesn't care about the burning circle coiling around her wrist. All she knows is that she has to follow the rule of magic, no matter how much it burns. For the Owens women, fire is tied to acts of transformation and devotion. Sally cuts her hair and burns it as part of her spell, an offering of humility, a warrior's sacrifice. The smoke that rises isn't red with anger, but milky white, scented with lilacs, a promise that luck and protection will follow. Franny, too, uses fire to return a hex to its sender, burning red thread over a candle's flame to break the cycle of vengeance. In the Book of Magic, candles mark boundaries and intentions. They glow at festivals, on May Eve, All Hallows Eve, Candlemas, Lammas, lighting the violet sky as stars seem to fall and rise in turn. And they line blue stone paths and mark doorways of those who still believe in hope and the quiet power of light. Even when curses bloom in the dark, the candles burn steady, a reminder that love, like fire, can be a force for warmth, for healing, and for magic. And did you ever like hear that when you put a candle in the window, it's supposed to like guide it, like spirits? I think that's
that's why you leave them lit, like All Hallows Eve. I like to use the electric candles.
Same.
Yeah,
same. Especially with cats. Forget it. How did witches in like the old times like deal with cats and candles at the same time?
I don't know. I'll even dumb it down even more and just leave a nightlight on,
Uh-huh.
like a plug-in one.
Yeah, if I'm gonna have any candles burning, I usually put it in like something contained, like like an actual lantern or something that
Yeah.
the cats can't like accidentally brush up against and like their tail goes in it or something. Like,
Yeah.
that's
They're
like my
idiots.
biggest fear. They are fucking idiots. So you gotta really have to just like cat proof everything. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
those were our books. How'd you feel about doing the books that way?
That was cool.
I like telling more of a story
Right.
that way. We might do that more often.
Yeah, besides the passages, especially with something so broad as elementals, like, because like it creeps in little spots here and there, like you don't even realize, like there was a lot of stuff that like we mentioned in all of these, and like I'm like, I don't even remember that. I don't even remember half of that.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Cool.
Thanks for putting that together. We're gonna
Yeah.
get into the film now.
Yeah. So let me know if I'm wrong, but my first visual that I think that we get of fire is Sally's illumination spell. So
Oh yeah.
we'll start there.
Right.
And a creator that we have gotten to interview before, she no longer does this, but Pagan Scrapbook Supply has a beautiful recreation of this spell page. You can just Google search it, but we'll start here. So Sally Owens, still a little girl, sits at a wooden table in the dining room. The evening has settled in. It's nice and blue. We talked about the color theory in this scene. It's so beautiful. She's dressed in white, practicing her magic. Her sister also is dressed in white with now we think could be dove's wings, not just angel wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in front of her is an unlit candle. She leans forward, concentrates, then softly she blows, but not to extinguish, to ignite. With a single breath, the candle flares to life. We talked about this in our air episode too. It's where flame and air connect. No match, no lighter, just her will, her breath, and the mysterious power that lives in her blood. If you look closely, right before the moment the camera lingers on this spellbook page, and it's titled Illuminate. It's very quick. You can kind of see it over her shoulder. And that page, if you've ever paused on the screen like we have, it shows a glowing lantern surrounded by candles and like diagrams, arcane moons, and handwritten instructions. It's a grimoire page that seems to hum with power. It whispers of inner knowing and of awakening. And this is where we start today with fire not as destruction, at least in the movie, but as awakening. Then, if you notice when Franny says to Jilly that your talents will emerge in time, you can see Jet beside her lean in and blow on the candle as well, just reinforcing like this is what we do. It's so second nature to them.
So wait, Jet blows on Sally's candle? The one that's
She has her own little candle there on the table. She's doing her yarn work, and Franny speaks to Gillian. And as soon as the knock comes out the door, you can see Jetty like finishing blowing, and then they go.
Wait, does she blow it out or blow it on?
Blow it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never noticed that before. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So then the next scene I could think of is Gillian's fire, just the southwest in general desire in the wild heart. Let's head south, not geographically, but symbolically, into the domain of fire's cardinal direction of south. We get a glimpse of Gillian's life far from Massachusetts under the relentless southwestern sun. It's not named outright, but everything about the backdrop, the desert winds, the motel, the stucco buildings, the dry earth, it points to Arizona, and we get that from the books as well. That setting, it is fire, the element, blazing, untamed, and seductive. Gillian has always carried fire with her. She's the wild sister, the one who leaves, the one who follows her heart, whether it's the heat of desire, danger, or rebellion. And when we see her in the Southwest, that internal flame is mirrored by the landscape itself. She's sun-kissed. She's gonna burn out there with that milky skin of hers.
Yeah.
You can just see she's loving the heat of the Southwest. And even in the men she attracts, they're dangerous, magnetic, and volatile. Everything in her world in this moment is burning bright.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a mistake that Alice gave her the characteristics that she did. She's a redhead. She's very fiery. Even her mannerisms, like she's very not well, like yeah, she is flighty. So she could either be air or fire, but yeah, I think her characteristics are fire in and of itself.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Gillian's case, it's the start of freedom, this fire. The kind of freedom that crackles, that makes your skin hum, that says, I won't be tamed. There's a moment where she's lounging by the pool. She's dancing. There's heat rising off the pavement. It feels like a mirage, this party.
Yeah.
It's a living fantasy of independence. But the thing about fire is if you don't tend to it, it spreads. And that's what happens when Jimmy Angelov comes into her life. What begins as passion ignites into obsession. Gillian doesn't just get burned, she becomes consumed. And the desert, the very land that seemed to welcome her fire, becomes a kind of warning. There's no water here, no cooling breeze, no one to put the flames out.
We go together.
We go together. We go together
Oh my god.
to the airport.
This shit's so funny. So still talking about, I guess, the Southwest. So the heat, solar magic, and sensuality are some of the things that it represents here. So in magical traditions, the South is ruled by fire and associated with the season of summer, the time of noon, the sun at its most intense, the qualities of willpower, sensuality, and courage. And Gillian's life in the Southwest is a manifestation of all of these things. She's in her solar peak. She's radiant, magnetic, impulsive, but the sun, like fire, can also scorch. And what we learn from her journey is that unchecked fire, especially emotional fire, needs balance. Fire as seduction. This is symbolized in the cigarettes, in the candles, and the belladonna, the poison, right? Fire doesn't always roar. Sometimes it flicks, it tempts, it seduces. And let's talk about the lighters. Right? So when Gillian and Jimmy are together, there's always smoke, literally. Cigarettes lit with a flick of the thumb. That tiny spark is more than a habit, it's a ritual for them. It's a spell in its own way, and each ignition is a symbol of their chemistry and their volatility, their self-destruction. They light each other's cigarettes like lovers casting spells with flame. It's intimate, intoxicating, but it's also very dangerous. And fire here becomes a symbol of desire and of addiction. It's the literal devil card from the tarot, right?
Yes.
It's not just tobacco burning, it's control, chaos, and charm. And as we know, Jimmy uses charm like a weapon. But now, let's shift scenes a little bit to a bathroom glowing with candlelight, the belladonna, the bottle, and the flicker before the fall. There's a pivotal moment in the film, quiet, loaded, and almost sacred, where Gillian steps into the bathroom. In her hand is the belladonna, the poison that can kill or save, depending on the dose. The room is dimly lit, not by overhead bulbs, but by candles. And I think, did we even, like, we were laughing at some point about, like, the blue backlighting in the shower? Like, where is that coming from?
Yeah.
Like, is
Beautiful.
there a window out there? Like, no, what? So everywhere, on the sink, on the shelves, in the corners, flames are flickering. The shadows are rippling. There's something kind of church-like about it. Yeah, because, like, isn't there even a Jesus crucifix on the wall in the bathroom?
Yeah,
right?
very Southwestern, like, religiously oriented things in there.
Yeah. So a sacrament is about to be performed. A bottle of tequila glinting in the golden light waits like a chalice on the altar. And Gillian isn't just sneaking a drug into a drink. She's invoking something and making a choice that will change the course of the story. And she does it by the light of fire. I also think it's, like, really interesting how they just, like, leave candles, like, millions of candles on everywhere in their freaking...
Yeah, near a wall. I mean, that stain is not going to come out easily. I'd never put shit against a wall.
Yeah.
Like that.
Or, like, on a shelf with a shelf above it, because the soot just, like, burns the shelf above it, right?
Yeah. Hollywood.
I know. So this scene could have been shot in a sterile fluorescent light, but it's not. The filmmakers bathed in gold and orange, letting the candle flames create moving shadows. It's a spellwork scene, even if no words are spoken, but there is a twist. Just behind her, a cold blue light spills through the bathroom glass. It's the exact color of water, of ice, and of truth. This subtle color contrast tells us everything. The candlelight is her illusion, her warmth, her will, and her seduction. And the blue light is reality waiting just outside the frame. And fire is seductive, yes, but it casts shadows. It hides as much as it reveals. And in this moment, we're watching Gillian stand between two elements, fire and water, action and consequence. And pretty soon she's not going to be standing at all because she can be astral projecting and go see Sally.
Let's astral project right now into that scene where she's talking with her sister. That Sally, who is wrapped up in her grief, hollowed out by loss. She's on her bed. She's kind of let it all spill out into her sister's lap. And then we see Gillian, and she's just lounged in front of that fire. Like it's the most natural thing in the world. And maybe it is because Gillian is fire. And she's smoking at the same time.
Right.
Wild, warm. I would not let my sister smoke in the house. Go out on the porch.
But I mean, this is the 90s that people smoked everywhere, You couldn't go to a friggin' Applebee's and not have come home smelling like smoke.
Wild, warm, and unpredictable. But in this moment, she's not burning the house down. She's offering heat to a sister who has gone cold. They talk, they laugh a little, and then Gillian says something that on the surface sounds sexy, and it's almost funny. She says, he's just so intense. We stay up all night worshiping each other like pets. She's glowing from it, that the heat. She's basking in the memory of Jimmy like it's a flame she can't step away from, even if it's already burning her. But then comes Sally's line that stops everything. She says, so you drug your boyfriend to get a little shut-eye? We don't see the music change, the lighting doesn't shift, but something in the scene shifts a little bit. It just gets a little more serious. Then the fire behind her kind of becomes something else. It's no longer cozy and warm. It's a signal flare, a red flag waving in plain sight, basically.
Yeah.
A truth trying to claw its way through the smoke.
It's like the devil himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever see the movie Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know that one scene where the Hessian comes in and he like attacks that entire family, and before he does that, the dad is like sitting there at the table and there's a fire behind him, and like when the music kicks up, the flames like they like go woof, right?
That's cool.
And there's faces in them.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, go back and look at that. There's faces in it. It's so creepy, but I could almost envision that happening, and it would have worked in this scene too, basically, because like Sally kind of like pointed out that something was very wrong with this relationship that Gillian was completely oblivious to, and it would have been so cool to like see some kind of like faces in those flames, kind of like alluding to the audience, like, this is a warning, Gillian. This is a warning.
Even if it wasn't faces, just the flames getting a little more intense would be such a like practical thing.
Right.
That'd be so cool. Yeah. So this entire conversation's it's happening in front of that roaring fireplace. It's not subtle, it's foreshadowing, because fire is not just passion, it's reckoning. And this is the moment before kind of everything ignites. Sally gets her little oomph back, right? And then we start really getting into the snowball of the movie. Gillian she's curled up there. She's being vulnerable and casual at the same time. She's half confessing, half deflecting, but what she really is doing might be asking for help without knowing it yet. Sally's wrapped up in her own grief, but she's got those alarm bells going off. Those red flags are going off.
I have a question. So at that point where they're having that conversation, right, in that room, and Gillian says he's just so intense, do you think things have already gotten physically abusive at that point?
I think so. I think he might have introduced a little kink into it, a little bit of like, and it's like, that would be intense, but maybe she's into it.
Yeah. And then maybe like it didn't. Okay, so yeah, what you're saying is like maybe sexually he would like, because in the book that is kind of like what he is, like rough with her when they're being intimate, right? So that does make sense. Maybe it was just like solely an intimate kind of happening, and then when it bled into their daily occurrence, and she said one little thing that set him off. Now he's doing it in public. Yeah. So maybe that was like kind of like the tipping point of like why that whole scene happened where Sally had to come rescue her. Maybe it wasn't like a daily thing that he got physical with her until that was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe it was only like a sexual thing up until that point.
Yeah, I could see her being like, okay, it's cool, little BDSM. That's fine. In the privacy of our relationship,
right.
Not in anger around other people.
At a Dunkin' Donuts.
At a Dunkies. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I agree with you.
All right. So let's talk about fire as longing. We're going to return to Sally now. So there's that quiet scene, maybe too easily overlooked if you're not paying too much attention, where she's sitting alone in her bedroom writing her letter to Gillian. She's not casting any spells at this time, at least not in the traditional sense. She's casting something deeper here, more of a longing. And her voice narrates the letter as she writes. And she says, sometimes I feel there's a hole inside of me, an emptiness that at times seems to burn. And then she follows this up with the juxtaposition of water to a degree. She says, if you lifted my heart to your ear, you could probably hear the ocean. And this is the letter as a spell. This part kind of feels more like a ritual, right? She melts the candle wax, she drips it very carefully, intentionally, she seals that envelope, and it's not just a letter anymore. It's kind of like a spell of sorrow, of longing, but also of hope, right? And it's a charm sent through the mail, sealed with fire and filled with unsaid things. And this is what ends up reaching Gary, right? Eventually. So she writes, maybe there is no man, Jilly, only that moon. And in that moment, fire and moonlight sit side by side, desire and distance. Sally isn't giving up on love. She's naming the ache of it. She's acknowledging that she wants what might be as unreachable and cyclical as the tides, right? Because you can't really hold on to the ocean because it's just going to go
right
back
back
out, right? So it makes total sense.
So we're going to jump a little bit in time. We've already done the motel and they're kidnapped in the car. The three of them are driving down the Jersey Turnpike. So here's where fire comes in as that weapon where branding and control show that shadow side of fire. So Sally and Gillian are in the car. Jimmy is in the back seat. Sally's driving. The mood is erratic at best.
Yeah.
His energy is crackling like a wire about to snap. He pulls out his lighter, and the same flame we've seen flicker through flirtation and the cigarettes they shared and seduction earlier in the film. This time is not so casual. It's not intimate. It's calculated. It's almost like a warning, because that's when he starts talking about Louis L'Amour, rustlers, and branding. His tone is off, like he's halfway inside some Western fantasy where people are property and pain is romantic. And then he goes for it. He's heating up the ring, and Sally's like, what are you doing? And this ring has a skull and the snake on it, symbols already loaded with menace. And as this metal heats up under the flame, Jimmy turns this fire into something primal and predatory. That symbol of control. He leans over and grabs Gillian, and he says, you cannot hide the brand! Right? Suddenly, this fire is no longer light. It's not about that transformation or memory or magic. It's ownership. It's a perversion of everything we've seen fire do up to this point. Yeah. And what makes this moment even more disturbing is that fire up until now, like we said, is very female coded. Right? He's kind of the first main male we see anyway in the film, but it's been the spark for young Sally's magic, the candles, in the Owens house, Gillian's ritual, her astral projection, the hearth of sisterhood and healing and for the aunts. But now it's in the hands of a man who wants to brand a woman.
Like property, right?
Like property. Jimmy is literally, which we think he might have already done with the snake tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah. And like tattoos are so, I mean, I know they were a little more taboo in the 90s. They're a little more like, lax about that today.
Yeah.
But tattoos are such like not like a mundane thing, but it's more acceptable, right? Like you don't realize like if somebody's tattooing into you, that whole conversation that we had with Selena, right? It's literally what's the word? Transference of trauma, of, I don't know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not as jarring as a brand. Like if somebody goes to brand you, you'd be like, what the fuck? But if somebody was like, can I tattoo a snake on you? You'd be like, oh yeah, that's sexy, sure. Like, So I mean, like to see like him go from like maybe tattooing the snake onto her and her being like cool with it to like the branding, then she's like, holy shit, maybe he's just like trying to put his stamp on me that like I'm not his I'm his property now. Like so. And
then we know not Phoenix, what the hell's her name, Phoebe Stone. Phoenix, he marked her on the face, I think.
Yeah, I think
that's what Gary's saying at the table. He marked her face with kind of a brand. So then it comes full circle for their little brains in that moment.
Yeah.
Jimmy here is literally weaponizing the element. He takes the flame and twists it into something dark, ironically, something to mark, to claim, and scar. So what Jimmy does with that ring and the lighter is more than just the threat of physical violence. It's kind of a symbolic act of erasing Gillian's autonomy. And that's crucial to understanding fire's full arc of the film, because fire isn't inherently good or bad, it's a force. It can light a candle or burn a house down. It can warm a home or try to brand a body. This moment shows us the deepest shadow of the element, and this act, the flame turned against Gillian, that finally pushes Gillian toward escape. Like they gotta do drastic shit right now. It's the spark of survival in that moment.
Yeah. And him erasing her autonomy, I think it says that finally pushes Gillian toward escape. Well, yeah, because like that threatening her autonomy, like she went out to the Southwest to find her freedom, and now like she's completely being that freedom.
She's more trapped than ever.
Yeah, it's just crazy how like the tables or the script has completely been flipped for her, and she wasn't even expecting that,
So scary.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it could happen to any of us. Like, a lot of abusers don't show their true colors until you're well too deep into it to even realize that, that entrapment has happened.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the ashes and smoke and the reckoning. So let's sit in the smoke for a moment. So Jimmy is slumped over, and is this what talking about when
He's in the backseat. He's dead.
Okay, so this is the back seat. Okay, so yeah, he's slumped over, unmoving. He's not moving. The chaos has stopped, at least for now. The reality is settling in like soot in the air, like that. Well, we just killed a man, right? And in the stillness, what does Gillian do? She reaches for her cigarette.
Why not?
Right? She
Gotta
reaches
calm
for
down.
her cigarette. So fire again, but this time it's not seductive or dangerous. It's defeated, or she's having a meltdown now. So just a trembling little flicker in the dark that like the only control that she feels like she has left, right? So Sally watches her and says gently, "You really should stop smoking so much, Jilly." And it's not really a scolding, it's more like a reaching out, like one sister to another. And she says it because obviously she cares. But Gillian, always quick with a one-liner, she's like, "Why? I'm probably gonna get life. I should smoke 2 at once and shorten the sentence." But there's gallows humor in that line, sure. But there's also fire logic. If you're going to burn, might as well do it fast, right?
Yeah.
That's my mentality. Anyway.
Run at the storm.
Christina's like, "Why do you wait till the night before to finish your show notes?" And I'm like, "I can't unless I have a literal fire under my ass."
Jesus.
Yeah. Ashes and embers, the fire after the fire. This moment isn't about combustion, it's about the burnt edges of what just happened. The heat is still in the room. Their hands are shaking, but what we're seeing now is the emotional scorched earth that fire leaves behind. When Sally says, "I really don't want to lose my children," and Gillian replies, "I don't want you to either," there's no more sarcasm, no more firecrackers, just a soft ember between the sisters. It's more warmth now, not so much heat. And this is where we see the shift. And the moment when the fire stops being about desire and starts being about protection and survival and love, and I will do anything to protect my sister, even if it means killing a man for a second time and then burying the body and then hiding it from the man that I might possibly be the Amos Veritas love spell guy, and
Here.
it's just a fucking shitstorm from there. In that flickering space between grief and guilt, Gillian gets that idea, right? She's like, "I got it. I know what we could do." And she looks up, her voice changes. There's a spark in her eyes. And she's like, when you went to the aunts when Michael died, you asked them to bring, right?
Yeah.
And she brought that up, and like Sally's, no, we can't do that. He's gonna come back as something dark and unnatural. We can't do it. And she's like, wouldn't, but not couldn't.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So just like that, fire prepares to rise again, and not through violence this time, but through forbidden magic, that temptation. Like, we could do it, like we probably shouldn't, but we could. And it's through that kind of flame that's not supposed to be lit, and once it is lit, it can't easily be put out. And they're about to do something very dangerous here, and something so reckless, but it's also something so desperately human. Like, how many times have we all been in that desperate
Grasping
state
at
of mind
straws
where
here.
we would do anything to remedy the situation, even if it meant like what you said, grasping at straws. You don't think about the consequences, you just do to survive. And like sometimes that kind of ends up shooting you in the foot, or be
I
worse.
was gonna say, sometimes you have to use semantics to your advantage. Wouldn't, but not couldn't. Right? Semantics. Yeah. Okay, so we are now at the Owens house, back where it all started. Herbs in jars, candles on tables, and the kind of silence that only comes before something forbidden. They've dragged him inside. The girls have not been practicing magic for years, like 15, 20, maybe more. We don't know.
Didn't we even have a theory that we think maybe they've never even practiced magic together as adults?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. The aunts have warned them about meddling with death, but now they're desperate, grief-stricken. I don't know if I'd toe that line. Guilty, scared, and the house knows it. The house knows.
Maybe they're grief-stricken for the life that they know is
They
about.
might lose.
The life that they know they're gonna lose as a result of fucking murdering a man.
Yeah, agreed. So we get Jimmy on the table, and the table is set, but not for dinner, for ritual. We got the lights. I don't think there are lights on. It's just the candles flickering around him. We got smoke going up, the blue sage. There's shadows dancing all over the walls, and these flames are steady, but they're not comforting. They're watchful, like they're waiting to see what the girls are going to do. So they burn that braided wheat straw, and that's a nod to old world protection magic. And they burn the blue sage, not white sage, mind you, but blue, which is gentler, more floral. and often used for spiritual healing and invocation. This is a folk ritual, not a polished spell by any means. It's messy.
Oh, this is trash witch central up in here.
It's human and uneasy, and that's the point. They're using fire not just to illuminate, but to pierce the veil. Every curl of smoke, every flickering wick is reaching, calling, not just to Jimmy, but to the unknown, to the line between what should be done and what can be done.
You said not for dinner, but then my mind went to that. I've seen a meme where it's the resurrection scene and the girls have Jimmy on the table and it says girl dinner.
He's a whole snack, honey.
Oh, he's a whole charcuterie board. Oh my god.
But here we have the edge of consequence in this scene. This moment is all about fire on the edge, not playful flickering of candles at a sleepover, like light as a feather, stiff as a board. Yeah. It's not the hearth fire between the sisterhood, over a glass of wine or just sharing your vulnerability, not the rage of possession or the heat of seduction. This is fire as a summoner. Fire is a key. They are literally burning offerings to invite the dead back in. And yet there's fear, there's tension because fire may open doors, but it doesn't tell you what's waiting on the other side. It's Jimmy.
It's me, Jimmy. Yeah. So now we're in the kitchen and Jimmy, resurrected and wrong. What does it mean wrong? Like,
he's come back as wrong, right? He's not looking so good.
He is very wrong, and he's choking Gillian, and the room is spiraling, frantic, full of smoke, and shadows everywhere. And then a cast iron pan, a bang! And it's been sitting there this whole time, still on the stove, heavy and ready, and Sally grabs it with every ounce of strength, and she swings. And a dull thud, and Jimmy falls to the ground, and for a moment, everything goes still.
It's like a black cut, like a hard black boing, and then it's cut to black, and then
it's just the body like right? The body dropping. So the iron forged in flame. So here's the thing, that's not just a frying pan, that's a cast iron pan. That iron has been forged in fire, seasoned over years, passed down through generations. It holds the heat the way old magic holds memory, and I'm pretty sure that's the same skillet that little Antonia is making her pancakes in the next scene that Gary is handling the murder weapon and he doesn't even realize it.
Yeah.
The way that I never even put that together before we started this podcast, and that when it hit me, it was like, oh my god, it's the murder weapon! He's holding it! How did he never realize that?
I wonder how they cleansed it. Do you think that they just put it back on the stove, kicked up the fire, and burned it away?
Did not cleanse that shit. Are you kidding me? Like, you mean the bottom of it where they hit him on the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they just rinsed it off, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in this scene, it becomes something more than cookware. It becomes a weapon of protection, of ancestral defense, a hearth object repurposed into a shield. And we often talk about the magical tools, the athames, wands, crystals, but let's be real here. A cast iron skillet? Yeah. That's kitchen witchcraft in its purest form. And more than that, it's fire made solid, right? Fire turned into form. Fire that you hold in your hand. It's wielded. We should reach out to that.
That metal guy?
We have a metal guy on speed dial, right? We could be like, yo, he wanted to talk to us. So we were like, what's that have to do with practical magic? But I don't know, maybe
it's come back around. I love cooking with my cast iron. It's great.
Yeah. I'm not a fan because I hate that, like, you can't wash it and that just
you can wash it, just don't use soap.
Yeah.
You gotta like scrape it down with one of those chainmail thingies.
I let Avi handle all the cast iron stuff in this house.
I bet does he use it on the grill? I feel like
he uses it for like everything. He uses it for steak. He has like a Dutch oven kind of thing for a sourdough bread.
Yeah.
He has one of those, and he's also made like hacked campfire brownies that he's put on the actual grill, not the fire.
The oven.
Yeah. So he's really creative with his cast iron skills. So I just let him handle the cast iron, and then I just ruin the rest of our pots and pans with my bullshit cooking. So talk about trash witch. So yeah, Sally's swing here, the fire as final boundary, right? When she, I guess, bongs him over the head with that cast iron skillet. She doesn't need an incantation. She doesn't need a spell. She needs something real, right? Something tangible that she can grab. And what she grabs, it's not light. It's not delicate. It's that pan that has seen years of fire and has held its shape. And that swing in that moment is Sally's reclamation. She reclaims not just her sister, but herself. She's taken back the control, right? The fire has caused so much chaos in this story, whether it's desire, danger, or possession, but now the fire saves them, right? Through iron, through weight, through one decisive final blow.
Yeah.
Bong!
It does. So let's get to the midnight margaritas and the fire in the belly, tequila, heat, and the night that's turned. It's kind of another kind of fire. It's not the flicker of a candle. It's not the roar of a hearth. Not even the heat of the desert sun. I'm talking about the burn of tequila. It's the middle of the night and the aunts are down there doing their concoction and they call out to the girls. Their mischief is potent here as the midnight margaritas in their hands and the whirl of the blender and the music cranks up and they're all dancing. And the Owens kitchen is alive. This isn't a ritual fire. It's a rowdy fire, fast and loose, liquid heat. And the tequila, well, it doesn't need a match. It burns all the way down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's that line that we have in our Midnight Margarita song, which we just did a Song of So Forth, so you guys should go listen to that. But in the last chorus, when like they realize that Jimmy's kind of taken over, they say dancing around the kitchen, feeling fire, fire, fire.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a reason people call it fire in the belly. We're going to talk about more later on after the break. Tequila especially has this effect. It makes you bold, loud, sharp-edged. It can also make you cry or want to fight, right? It's like you're dancing with a fuse and daring it to blow. And that's exactly what happens. The women start off laughing and singing and doing shots. The flame is friendly, frivolous, but then the tone shifts and the jokes get pointed. The energy gets weird.
Yeah.
There's a heat that creeps in, not from the stove, but from old wounds, maybe. They quote Jimmy, and then it's like at that record scratch moment. And just like that, all that fire in the belly, it turns into flame on the floor. It's stomach churning. That's how I would feel. That broom fall, whole kitchen jumps at this. Broom hitting the floor is the sound of the line being crossed. The tequila has loosened their lips, warmed their insides, but it's also summoned something. Because fire doesn't just burn away inhibition, it also illuminates the things you'd rather keep in the dark. Justina said not long ago, like, tequila drinking will make you the worst version of the friend. Like, you say all the things you weren't planning to say ever. It just comes out.
Yeah, what's that quote? It's like sober thoughts, I'm just completely fucking that up. Drunk action, sober thoughts. I think is that the one?
I have not heard it.
I like it. Drunk action, sober thoughts. Because like when you're sober, you just think things, but you don't really act on them. But like when you have a little alcohol in your system, you know, all those inhibitions go right out the window, and then you say all the things that you were thinking when you were sober.
Yes. Yep.
You know, that you have more of like a zip the lip on, and like you don't really have control over that when you have a little
Yep. Or you start scream singing gospel in a hotel in Waltham.
into a cucumber.
Yeah. Yeah. This midnight margaritas night started as a celebration, but it ended as kind of a summoning. We think Jimmy kind of made his way back in at this point. So not with the incantations, but with the heat of memory and liquid flame here.
Liquid fire.
Yeah.
Did you ever drink liquid death? Have you had liquid
No,
death?
I've seen the cans.
Yeah, I thought it was like, I don't know, either hard alcohol or some kind of energy drink. It's just
Coffee.
water.
It's water?
It's water.
I thought it was coffee.
It's water.
Lame.
Yeah, Avi came home drinking that one day. I was like, what are you drinking? What is that liquid death? He's like, it's just water. Taste it. I'm like, oh.
Wow.
So
I've been
weird.
conned.
Yeah, it's just like fancy packaged water.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
damn.
it got me.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? All right. So let's get back to the hearth fire. Back to the hearth, the softest, warmest, fiery place in the house. That it's the kind of fire that doesn't blaze but sustains, right? When Gary Hallett shows up at the Owens house, he's supposed to be asking questions, and he's there to investigate and interrogate and unravel this case that he's, you know, on the trail of. But what does he walk into? A kitchen full of sunlight and syrup, and a little girl, Antonia, standing on a stool in front of that gorgeous Aga stove trying to make pancakes. Yes, that Aga stove, the one that we obsessed over in season 1. Elegant, practical, a symbol of permanence. But it's not just a backprop, it's the sacred hearth of the Owens home. Now, this pancake fire, it uses the flame as an invitation. Antonia, probably 6 or 7 years old, she's standing confidently at this flame, turning pancakes on a griddle that's likely older than she is. And it's not just adorable, it's it's like a generational fire, right? Like she's starting very early, and like it's very clear that she's had experience cooking at this stove before, because Sally doesn't seem concerned, like, oh, hon, you're gonna burn yourself, right? Be
She's
careful.
like, take care of this. You're making a mess, though.
Yeah, she's just, and like, a skillet handle gets very hot for, a little
Just to
kid to
lean
be,
on.
for a little kid to be manning the station. I would, be a little concerned, but Sally's like, no, she got this. She's good. And this little girl already understands the stove's magic, already knows the heat is part of the Owens inheritance. And then Gary, the outsider, the lawman, and the threat, steps beside her, but he doesn't pull her away, and he doesn't act shocked. He gently says, ever seen a saguaro cactus? And Antonia's like, no. And he goes, well, you're about to. Step aside. And then it's playful, but it's also like a shift, right? A man drawn to the flame, not to extinguish it, but to join in. And
Very caveman.
help out the hearth, because how many men do you hear women complain about, like, my husband doesn't cook, doesn't do shit? Like, Gary's just showing that he's willing and able to step up to the hearth and take on, roles that would be considered womanly in a patriarchal society.
He's a domestic guy.
He is.
He's smart. We see you, Gary.
He's a girl's girl.
He's a girl's girl. Oh,
Not
and a
to-
shirt.
Not to emasculate him or anything, but
Gary, girl's girl.
Gary can throw down with Bobby Flay in the kitchen. He's good. Gary flips those pancakes into the air and catches it perfectly in a cast iron skillet. The same skillet that, unbeknownst to him, was the murder weapon used to kill a man. And that's the alchemy of this moment. It's the same fire that can cook breakfast that can end a life. And the same skillet that struck Jimmy down is now catching pancakes in the hands of a kind man and a little girl. What we said, murder never looked so cozy.
Yeah.
And it's not just, quote, irony. See what
Yeah.
you did there. It's a reminder that fire holds memory, and sometimes memory holds secrets. But even in that moment, there's peace, because here fire is serving life again and nourishing and teaching, and it's a bonding experience for them. It's a bonding experience for this little girl and this stranger of a man she's never met before.
He jumps right into daddy mode. Right in.
Yeah,
At
and then he
first.
sits down at that breakfast table and he's like, oh, I guess I have a family now. I forgot what I was even here for.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and like if we go back to the books, like Gary, like we know he's kind of a lone wolf. He doesn't really have many friends. His grandfather passed away, who raised him. His own parents died. So like knowing from what we know from the books, like he's probably longing for that sense of family. And then he's at this table with these beautiful women and these beautiful little girls, and he's like, wow, like
At this beautiful mansion.
how did I end up here? Like, is this like I can have this?
Yeah.
The law don't matter anymore.
Apparently, Gary.
Right?
Yeah.
How quickly he forgot what he was there for.
Yeah. But the law does, and he comes back in guns a-blazing, literally. So we're going to jump a little bit in time. We're going to come into where Gillian is possessed. Sally has heard the call. She runs home. She sees Gillian writhing on the bed, and then boom, boom, here comes Gary. And his literal firearm. So it's the cold loaded metal I want to talk about here. It's the height of the haunting. Like we actually see Jimmy come out of her. Like any man trained by law and logic, he pulls out his gun. And we talk about this being a Western standoff style where fire meets its limit. There's something super deeply Western about this moment. Gary and Jimmy's ghost staring each other down in the attic. It's high noon in a witch house. Jimmy now spectral, circling like smoke in the room. Justina says he looks like he's tar stained too.
Yeah, he does.
Gary, steady but bewildered, he's pointing steel at something he can't shoot. He knows, but he's kind of locked in this position. He raises his weapon, ready to act, but what do you do if the threat isn't flesh? When it's rage and rot and residue. You can't shoot a haunting. But in this moment, Gary's fire, the state's fire, the masculine fire of control, fails. But not because he's weak, but because some fires aren't fought with bullets.
You can fake an exorcism. You can't fake a seizure. or no, you can fake a seizure. You can't fake an what did we say?
You can fake a seizure, but you can't fake a exorcism.
Yeah.
No.
Guys, go
I don't
listen to our
remember.
exorcism episode. That episode is so unhinged.
I don't remember, but that was a killer line.
That episode kills me every time.
This moment is about the failure of traditional firepower, the failure of, quote, fix it with force. Because the danger here isn't just a man, It's grief, it's possession, it's legacy. It's the generational pain that's taken root in this woman's body. And no matter how many rounds you carry, you can't shoot that out of someone. So the gun stays quiet. It's never shot. Gary is just being circled. The story shifts then, once and for all back to the women after Jimmy tries to grab his heart out and gets burned by that star. And then he's like, poof. We think everything's safe now, but we're not so sure.
So we've reached one of the most beautiful, quietly powerful scenes in the entire film. The phone tree women, right? Those who once whispered and judged have arrived, not to gossip, not to judge, but to help. And they've answered Sally's call. And with them, her daughters, Kylie and Antonia, are preparing the room for what's to come. The exorcism, the cleansing, and the purging fire. And what are they doing? They're lighting candles. So many candles. On the mantle, in the corners, beside the hearth. Tiny flames, one after another. Each one is a little hope, a little light, and a little courage for what they're about to embark on. And then Sally walks in, and this is more of like the mother's flame. And her coming into her own power again because she's blowing on that candle again. She steps up behind them, and this is the first time she's like doing this in front of other people probably since her childhood, because we saw her do it as she's writing the letter to Gillian, like she's just playing around with the candle, and that's something she does in the privacy of her own thoughts in her room and where she feels protected, but it's like almost like she doesn't feel safe to show that to the world. It's so cute because it's very apparent that she's never done that in front of her little girls before.
They're shocked.
When she did that, they were like, oh shit, mom just used magic again. What? So yeah, very cute. So she steps up behind them. She sees what her daughters are doing, and then without a word, she gently blows on one of the candles, and it flares to life, just like it did when she was a child, and just like the first time that we saw her power. But this time, it's not about discovering magic. It's about reclaiming it, owning it, and then passing it on, right? Because she looks at her little girls with that quiet smile, like, did you see that? And they giggle, and then they try to do it too. And in that small, sweet moment, something enormous shifts. Sally is no longer hiding. She's no longer mourning. She's stepping forward into her power, not just as a sister, not just as a mother, but as a witch.
Yeah.
That I'm a witch!
That's so powerful!
That's the scene where she reclaims it. That single breath does more than light a candle. It links generations, and it echoes back to the first spell that she ever cast. And it lights the way forward for her daughters, and letting her daughters know, like, it's okay to, be yourself and come into your own magic, too. It anchors her finally in her own power. And fire in this scene becomes not just warmth or weapon or ritual. It becomes more identity and legacy and connection. It's not a storm now. Now it's more of a steady flame. For the first time, Sally is no longer afraid of it.
She is ready to throw down.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've come to the moment in our film where the atmosphere is probably at its most witchy, its most pagan, most Wiccan, because all of the women have gathered in a circle/coven, and they've brought their brooms. Candles are lit. They're kind of sharing stories of past little magical things that have happened. They're not trained witches. They're not seasoned spellcasters. They're mothers, neighbors, teachers, women who've lived with fire in their bellies, but rarely have been allowed to name it, And now they are lighting the room with it. Candles are everywhere. The flames are flickering against every surface, bouncing off floorboards and dancing across the mirrors. And this isn't a seance. Again, it's a reckoning, another version of a reckoning. And in the center of it all, poor Gillian, she's writhing, possessed, she's breaking apart. And as they're chanting, they're pushing, they try, and Jimmy kind of shows his true face. She's like, fight this, you bitch. And he tries to go at Sally, gets knocked out, and then it kind of cuts to black. And then it eases back in. The camera cuts into the candles burning down slowly, flickering. They're very low. This shot isn't random. It's devastatingly intentional. The flames are no longer just light. They're measuring time, like an hourglass made of fire. They show us how long the women have been trying, how long the spirit has held on, and how close they are to giving up. In pagan and Wiccan traditions, fire is used to mark liminal spaces, time between times, thresholds between worlds. That's exactly what it is here. The room is not just a living room anymore. It's a portal. It's a battleground, a womb of rebirth. And the candles, they're the heartbeat of the spell. As they burn low, so does Gillian, so does hope. Until, of course, it flares again. In this moment, fire becomes everything. It's an altar, a prayer, a testament to endurance, the promise that even when it looks like the flame is dying, it isn't done yet. It's like one of those trick candles you can't blow out.
Yeah.
Because just when it feels like they've failed, they rise again. And this time, they burn with the collective fire, not as individuals, but as a coven, a community, and a circle of power. And here, I wanted to touch on the phoenix, because this is very much Gillian rising again. You know, there's a reason that the phoenix shows up in nearly every culture touched by myth. We're all haunted by the idea that something has to burn before it can be reborn, like the tower card. This mythical bird is found in Greek, Egyptian, Persian, Chinese, and indigenous traditions. Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
It self-immolates. It chooses the fire. The phoenix surrenders to destruction on its own terms, then rises again from the ashes, new and radiant. That is fire in its most sacred form, not just destruction, but transmutation. We see this in this exorcism scene when the women are gathering to banish Jimmy, and Gillian is consumed by his dark, toxic, violent ass, something that has to be burned away. But instead of destruction, what follows is rebirth. Not just for her, but for Sally, for the girls, for the whole Owens legacy. It's one of the most alchemical moments in this story. So the Phoenix teaches us that transformation is rarely gentle. We forget that sometimes, right? When we're in the thick of it and we can't see the forest for the trees.
Into the thick of it.
Fire strips you to your core, your bones, your breath, your belief systems, and what you choose to rise with. That's your magic. Just like Sally returning to her power, or Gillian letting go of her trauma, or even the rose bushes Sally burns after Jimmy's vanquishing, the Phoenix whispers that what's dead may not be gone forever, and what's scorched might grow back stronger.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about those burning bushes right now, those burning roses. So in that scene where Sally's burning stuff in the bramble under the fire, or under the rose arbor, it's more being used as a release now, right? Where they burn the roses, they bury the ring, and we're near the end of the film now. The storm has passed, Jimmy is gone, it's autumn now, or so we think. The garden is quiet. The wind carries that sharp scent of fall, things dying back, roots settling down, fires burning low. Sally's out in the yard. She's just burning the brambles of all the bullshit that's been growing wild when Jimmy's wrath was,
We don't see
at its strongest.
the reason I thought it was the roses, because we see her hacking away, but then Gary shows up and we don't see her do anything else with the roses. So I feel like this is where she's taking care of them for good.
Yeah, but she's just burying or she's just burning brambles, right? We don't physically see her chopping anything down in this scene.
Right. And I don't think on the arbor the roses are gone. So
yeah, I don't think we see any of the actual roses. Maybe just the foliage is still there.
Yeah.
Maybe they died back for the season, right?
It's autumn cleanup time in the yard.
Exactly. And Jimmy cleanup time. They got to get rid of the rest of his stank ass energy. So Sally's out in the yard burning the brambles. But the roses aren't just flowers. We've seen them all over the film. They've climbed the walls, they've tangled around fences. They've thrived when they shouldn't have, right? A little early for roses, ain't it? So that they symbolize Jimmy and his obsession and his charm and his danger. Now they're being burned, right? The brambles. And the same element that once resurrected Jimmy is now being used to let him go, to cleanse, right? So as Sally and Gillian stand near the fire, the letter arrives from Gary, and it's the legal verdict that Jimmy's death was ruled an accident, the threat of punishment is over, but Sally knows the real weight they've been carrying wasn't legal, it was more emotional and spiritual. And then comes the final gesture. She hands Gillian the ring, and Jimmy's the skull and snake ring, the one that he tries to heat and brand Gillian with, and the one that symbolizes possession, control, and fear. Gillian holds it for a moment and looks at it, and then she throws it into the fire. And there's no ceremony, no spell, no words, just metal hitting the flame, a hiss, and then a release. And then that's, it was closure for her. We don't really see her, like, she's like, what, this stupid thing? Like, I don't fucking need that anymore. Like, why do I need that? Why would I hold on to that? So that's just like a good closure for her. This moment is fire at its most sacred. It's not a ritual, it's not rage, it's not seduction, but it's more of a release. The fire in the scene is a funeral pyre, not just for Jimmy, but for everything that he stood for. Manipulation, obsession, fear, guilt, all of it burned. The roses, the ring, the remnants of that dark chapter. Also, if you think about it, it's kind of like the patriarchy in a sense, trying to take hold of a woman's autonomy and free will, because that's basically what he was doing to Gillian.
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And then also at the end of the film, Maria kind of like released the curse that, like, you know, she did that whole curse to begin with because of the what the patriarchy had done to her.
Yep.
So it's kind of like all encompassing and all comes full circle moment at the end. And so this is like that, the remnants of that dark chapter. And as the smoke rises, it's not a warning this time, but it's more like a benediction. And that fire here is not a threat. It's a choice to let go, to forgive themselves and their ancestry, right? Those ancestral wounds, to reclaim their ground. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do with fire is not use it for revenge, but for freedom, for liberation. And that's exactly what they do in that when they decide to burn all those brambles, burn that ring. We don't want any of it anymore. Like clean slate
Yeah.
here
What
on.
do you do after a breakup? You burn
Exactly.
everything.
Burn everything and then dye your hair.
Yeah. Cut bangs.
Cut your bangs. Don't cut your bangs, right? Yeah.
Yes. And that rounds us out to our finale in Fire a Celebration. It's All Hallows Eve. Go check out our All Hallows Eve song-sode episode. It will be linked. The veil is thin.
Yeah, and also listen to that. It's on our new album. Last track.
The air is also electric. The entire town has gathered in front of the Owens house, the place that was once whispered about, feared, kept their distance from, but not tonight. Tonight, the townsfolk are laughing, they're cheering, watching, waiting, because the Owens women, for the first time in living memory, to us at least, they're not hiding. They are ready to float down from their rooftop in their full witch regalia. Their long cloaks flying, their laughter real, the girls, Aunt Sally, Gillian, all of them seen, celebrated, and home. And flame as a welcoming presence here is that house that we love and its glow. And what's that element that carries this whole moment? But fire, not as a threat, not as magic, just as light here. There's lanterns hanging from everywhere, jack-o'-lanterns glowing with their orange smiles, candles flickering in all the windows of the house. And the entire night, dark by nature, is lit from within. The same house that once loomed with gothic shadow, mystery behind it, now glows like a beacon. It's a literal lighthouse. This isn't a haunting, it's a homecoming. And for this moment, when fire stops being a secret, there's no more cloaks pulled tight, they're loose. There's no more flames lit behind closed doors. Now it's on the porch, it's in the pumpkins, it's on the faces, it's playful, celebratory, alive. Even the town, once cold and skeptical, now joins in the flame that Sally first blew into life as a girl. Now it's everywhere. It's everywhere now, no longer hers alone, no longer hidden. It's shared. And just as a final reflection in this elemental journey of fire through practical magic, from the spark of a birthday candle to a cigarette in the desert to a fire in the hearth to a ring thrown in the flame to a lantern held aloft on All Hallows Eve night, fire has been with the Owens women every step of the way, seen as desire, danger, protection, power, and finally joy. And in practical magic, fire doesn't just burn, it transforms, as we've learned, and in the end, it doesn't destroy the Owens women, it illuminates them.
So I have a question. So the whole lighthouse thing, did they used to light that with like a flame, like fire?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, that's another one that I think that we missed, right? Like the actual lighthouse at the end, it's like that whole section is aglow.
Yeah, that I'm fascinated with lighthouses. As you know, we touch a little bit on the lighthouse movie later on. Nothing
Okay.
that has to do with the flame itself, but that's why they needed keepers to keep the light
Right.
lit. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I think that's about it for the movie. We followed fire through every flicker of practical magic, literally, from Sally's very first breath on a candle to the burning of Jimmy's roses in the wind, and we've seen it ignite desire, protect family, haunt memory, and finally become something celebratory, warm, visible, and unashamed. But the magic of fire isn't limited to the world of the Owens women. This element has lived and burned in myth, ritual, and metaphysical practice across cultures for thousands of years. So when we come back from the break, we're zooming way out, and we're going to explore how ancient cultures understood fire, from Greek philosophers to Vedic wisdom, its role in ritual magic, from candles and cauldrons to quarter cells, its tarot suit, the zodiac rulership, the magical strengths and symbolic archetypes, and how you can work with fire in your own magical practice, from crystals to seasonal rituals. It's the full and elemental deep dive, one flame at a time. So we're going to take a break, maybe light a candle, and we'll see you right after the break.
Hey, little witches!
the Stina's here. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you would know how much we love using the Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle deck by Grounded by the Moon.
And now we want to share the magic of Grounded by the Moon with you, our listeners. Joseph Benitez Egerton, the creator behind Grounded by the Moon, would like to offer this very special 10% off discount to all who wish to experience the magic of his Practical Magic themed tarot and oracle decks.
But that's not all. He also creates other divination tools like tarot workbooks, deck bags and altar cloths, pendulum kits, oil blends, cleansing sprays, smoke wands, teas, and ritual kits.
And let's not forget about his custom handcrafted, all-natural soy candles, where every candle is hand-poured and personally infused and charged under the light of the moon. They even come with a crystal.
And did we mention all of the ingredients in the candles are ethically sourced?
All of Joseph's offerings are just so magical. So go visit groundedbythemoon.com and use the coupon code Magnolia Magic for 10% off your entire order at checkout.
That's MAGNOLIA MAGIC. So get your discount today. Hey, we're the Stinas, and you're listening to Magnolia Street Podcast.
Does Joseph have a fire card?
Yeah, he's got all the elementals in here. I don't know if he has a spirit one. I don't remember.
At the rate we're going, we're going to do spirit in August, or do you want to wait a little bit for spooky season?
I think it might be cool for spooky season.
Okay.
Yeah, we could wait. Joseph does have a fire element card. So this is the upright triangle, right? No line through this one. And the mantra on this card is take action. And also it's passions. So the element of fire invites you to take action, inspired from the Tarot Suit of Wands. Fire encourages you to embrace your passions, and holding a message of excitement, this card can also represent a new spark of creativity or inspiration coming into your life. Like Christina came into my life.
Oh. Oh.
She gave me that spark of passion. She's like, get back to songwriting, bitch. Okay. When fire comes into a reading, don't sit idly by. Reignite this flame that lies within. This is your driving force. Feed your fire. Follow your passions to keep your flame burning as bright as possible. And that's absolutely true. Like, if you are no longer doing something you're passionate about, you get depressed so quick.
Yeah.
Because you feel no purpose. Like, you feel it when you feel like you have no purpose. Like, it's really easy to like get down in the dumps and like you're like,
it's your life. Right? And
Yeah.
then like when that just stops, it's
Yeah.
like, what is my self-worth now? What is my purpose now?
Right. And that's kind of how I felt like when I stopped songwriting for a while. Like, I was kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'll just like, do magical mail, I guess. Like, and I love doing that, but like, songwriting is like literally my life force. Like, I just feel so alive when I'm writing music.
You're back, baby.
Exactly. So to embrace fire, try fire scrying. So basically, like, I guess staring into a candle flame and like trying to see like how it dances, or maybe images or visions in it. Ground yourself and looking into a flame and interpret what the element brings to sight. You can also use the energy of the card itself to help enhance your connection. And the mantra on this card is I ignite with the fire. And this is a great card to have up on your altar for the solstice when you want to channel all that warmth and radiant sun energy. And it's also, I think this card is great to pair with the actual sun card from the tarot.
Yeah.
From the Rider-Waite, because that's such like a happy, fun, like radiant.
I love that.
It's just like a whimsical card with the figure riding the horse, like with the sunflowers in the background and the big sun face. My brother actually gave me a tapestry of the sun card from the tarot.
That's cool.
Yeah, I
Where's
think I
it
might
at?
hang it up for my party. It's like a backdrop.
Oh, I gotta get my altar back in
Yeah.
business here for this solstice, I think.
Yeah, I haven't done an altar in a minute. My place is just kind of like a freaking mess here. But I might do a pretty one for the party that I'm having, and then
Yeah,
just
sure.
I'm gonna get some fresh sunflowers. Trader Joe's has some really nice like fresh cut flowers.
Very
So
cool.
I might hit up some Trader Joe's before that party. But That's the card from the second edition Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle by Granted by the Moon. Go get your 10% off with our coupon code Magnolia Magic.
I can't believe we still have like somebody we have our personal coupon code.
I know.
That's so cool.
Has anybody used it? Has anybody used it? Let us know.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Joseph if he
Yeah.
must get like an analytic about that.
Right.
Anyway.
I just also really quick want to see if let's see, what is this, the Herbology Garden Magic deck that Joseph also has. See if he has sunflowers in here.
That would be cool.
It's also like a really good flower to pair with this element and Sabbath.
I was obsessed with the sunflowers when I was like 9, 10, 11 because of Pocahontas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I loved them.
Yeah. Oh, he does. Okay, so Helianthus Anus. It's ruled by obviously fire element, the sun, and the zodiac of Leo. And this says, I embrace the warmth of the sun, allowing it to fill me with vitality. And this says, invoke and utilize sun magic for warmth, growth, energy, and productivity. And the sunflower is a symbol of warmth, growth, energy, productivity. This card indicates that you have the opportunity to welcome the energy of the sun and use it to fuel your growth. This bright flower appears as a reminder that you can create and manifest abundance in your life by harnessing the power of the sun. You may feel stagnant or stuck in life, but the sunflower is here to reassure you that you can create change. Use sun magic to energize and uplift you, and you are being called on to step into your power and use your creative energy to grow your life into what you want it to be. Embrace your power, let your creativity flow, and watch as your life blossoms into what you truly desire. Trust in your ability to manifest your dreams and know that you are supported on your journey. And another card that I love to pair with the sunflower, the sun card, and the energy of the wands suit is the Queen of Wands. She's my favorite. Like,
hell yeah.
I definitely consider myself the Queen of Wands. If you notice, she has a sunflower in the background and she's got a little black cat at her feet. And I'm just like,
so many options. Yeah. That is you. Got so many options for your altar.
I kind of want to get like that card just like printed and framed and just like have it hung in my creative space, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that idea. Maybe that will be your birthday gift.
Oh, write it down. Don't forget.
I know.
So there you go. Those are some cards from Joseph's decks. And yeah, I love this time of the year.
You are a fire. You live for the summer.
I do. And even though I'm a winter baby, which is very strange, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Did I tell you about that one year that I celebrated the solstice so hard that I actually burnt myself out and I got sick right after?
Oh no.
I came down with a cold. Yeah, I came
wow,
down
dude.
I like did all the solstice stuff and then I was like just like literally burnt the candle at both ends there.
You can love something too much.
I know. Like, but I love fire and it's like, no, bitch, relax. Go take a nap.
Go take a nap. So we're going to keep going in the format for the other elementals we did. We're going to start with the classic elemental theory through philosophy, some historical foundations. In ancient Greece, the philosopher Empedocles proposed that all matter was made from the 4 root elements, earth, water, air, and fire. Aristotle later expanded on this, describing fire as hot and dry. We think they're talking about the humors here in some connection, right? We talked about that. Mm-hmm. And associating it with the upward movement, like that upward facing triangle. Aspiration, spirit, and will. Fire was seen as the driving force of transformation, passion, and even the divine spark within us. Like the Big Bang. Ignition, right? Mm-hmm. The Romans picked up these two. I didn't include anything about cavemen and fire. Okay.
Really?
No, I did not. The Romans picked up on these ideas too. They tied fire to god Mars. We're going to talk all about the gods later on. They connected it to vitality, to war, but also to the hearth and home. The sacred fire of Vesta was central in Roman life. More on her in a bit. And Vesta had the Vestal virgins who were priestesses who kept this fire continually burning in the temple. But fire wasn't just a Western element. In Chinese cosmology, we have the 5 phases of Wu Jing: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Fire here is tied to summer in the direction of south and to the heart. It's joyful, radiant, but can also burn out quickly, symbolizing both passion and burnout, Justina.
And out all time.
Yeah. A little bit here in India, where fire becomes god. Agni, In the Rig Veda, Agni is both messenger and offering, carrying our prayers to the heavens. In Vedic ritual, fire is sacred, purifying, and transformative. You don't just light a flame, you invite a divine presence. In Taoist philosophy, fire is yang, expansive, expressive, active. It represents outward movement, illumination, and joy, but too much, and fire becomes chaos. The balance of yin and yang always applies. In Buddhism, we find fire again, this time in metaphor, in the fire sermon. The Buddha says that the world is burning with desire, with anger, with delusion. The goal then is to cool the flame, not to destroy it, but to understand it. So what happens when we move from philosophy into magical systems? In the Kabbalic tree of life, fire connects a certain Sephiroth symbol of will, force, and divine energy. In alchemy, fire is essential. It purifies, transforms, and elevates. It's how we turn base metals into gold, and metaphorically, we refine the soul. And in Wiccan and modern pagan traditions, fire is invoked from the south during the ritual. It's represented by candles, wands, or the sun. Its magic is used for courage, willpower, passion, and perhaps most importantly, transformation. So whether it's a Vedic altar fire, a Roman hearth flame, or a candle on your kitchen counter, fire has always been more than light. It's been a symbol that drives us, changes us, and ultimately what connects us to something greater than ourselves. And a little bit like history tied in biblically is the burning bush. Mentioned in Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. Not going to read the whole thing. So in the Hebrew Bible, Moses encounters a bush that burns but is not consumed. It's not turning into ash and cinder. So it's not being consumed. From within the flame, God speaks. And he doth say, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. But what did God say? Anyway, that's Exodus 3:2. I don't know what he said. I don't talk to God anymore. Yeah. This is not a wildfire. It's not wrath. It's holy ground. The fire is paradoxical. It burns without destroying. It's a fire of revelation, not punishment. The key symbolisms are fire as divine presence, God's voice in the flame, its intention, the mark of the beginning of Moses' mission to lead Israel out of Egypt, and as a contained transformation, the bush remains unburned, yet Moses' life changed forever. In mystical traditions, the moment represents inward spiritual awakening, a fire that doesn't consume the body, but burns away illusion. And then there's a mention in the Bible of the tongues of flame, or like speaking in tongues, right?
Oh, our favorite people.
Our favorite people. Yes. Think of the Pentecostals. So in Acts chapter 2, 1 through 4, they talk about this. Pentecost is the moment when, after Christ's resurrection, the Holy Spirit descends upon the apostles. They are filled with divine power and described as having tongues of fire resting upon them. So it says, and there appeared unto them tongues as of fire, distributed and resting on each of them. And the fire doesn't harm them. It enlights and empowers and unifies them. And there's time of mourning. They're still mourning Christ's death.
With signs following.
That was good.
All right, moving right along to element in ritual and magic. And now that we've explored the ancient roots and cross-cultural philosophies of fire, let's step into the ritual circle. Because the element of fire isn't just a symbol, it's a presence. In ritual and spellwork, it's honored as a force of creation, destruction, purification, and will. So let's start with how fire is typically invoked. Fire is typically invoked in magical practice. When fire is called into ritual, it's often done from the south, the direction tied to heat, sunlight, and momentum. Practitioners might speak an invocation like, spirits of the south, element of fire, flame of passion, light of transformation, be with us now. Fire is invited when we want to ignite something, a new project, a burning away of the old, a spark of courage, a shield of strength. So let's break down some of fire's classic correspondences in ritual. So the direction is south, the season is summer, time of day is noon, color is red, orange, and gold, altar symbols, candles, cauldrons, sun wheels, images of salamanders or dragons. Elemental tools are the wand, also represented in the tarot, right, which channels energy outward. Think of it as a fire starter for will and intention. I like that.
That's cool.
And some traditions, particularly in folk and hearth magic, also associated the hearth itself or the kitchen stove with fire. And yes, your cast iron pan might be more magical than you think. So in many modern pagan rituals, especially in Wicca, practitioners call the quarters to create sacred space. So this means inviting each elemental force to occupy its corner of the circle. Fire is called in the south to bring passion, clarity, protection, and often power to act. Calling the south might look like lighting a red candle or orange, holding up a wand or blade, or simply turning to the south and speaking the name of fire aloud. It's not just pageantry, it's a way to bring balance, to ground your practice in intention. And fire is used in magic for banishing, so write something you want to release and burn it. And you could do that with bay leaves or even a piece of paper. Manifestation, light a candle to, quote, fire up a goal or desire. As far as cleansing, you can use flame or smoke to purify tools, spaces, or energy, or get a nice moxie busting going if you have some mugwort on hand. Courage and confidence, fire spells are perfect for interviews, performances, or any time you need to show up bold and unafraid. And then it's also the element of transmutation. So if you're looking to alchemize pain into power or grief into growth, fire is your elemental ally. And fire scrying is a beginner-friendly and intuitive form of divination that uses the flame's movement, shape, and wax patterns to receive messages or insight. And it can be done with anything from a small spell candle to a large bonfire. So some setup and safety requirements. Choose a quiet, safe space with good airflow. Place your flame on. Don't do this in your house on New Year's Eve and then almost burn it down like me and Avi almost
That
did.
dry, Christmas tree shit laying around.
Yeah. That shit is so dangerous. So Christmas trees are probably the cause of like the most house fires, like the real Christmas trees, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It gets so dry. I've also heard like people having like experiences of like bugs.
Ew.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Like new fear unlocked. I've never even thought about that. And then I saw that shit, like videos of that on like TikTok or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm never getting a real Christmas tree. Fuck that.
No, thanks. We bring our tangerine tree inside because it can't survive in the winter and we decorate it.
Right. Yeah.
Or
My dad has a
bugs.
lemon tree that they bring in for the winter too. So place your flame on a heat-safe surface away from flammable objects, pets, or children. Ward the space spiritually. Use smoke, sprays, or paper sigil under the candle holder. Bless the flame and call on trusted guides or deities for protection. And here's some tips on how to scry. So light the candle with intention and treat the flame with respect, like a magical ally. Meditate while gazing softly at the flame. Let your eyes blur slightly. Observe the flame's behavior, brightness, flickering, steadiness, or directional movement. You kind of want to observe all of those different things. And then watch for symbolic shapes in the flame or the wax. Use intuition or set up a personal, quote, code. Like if it flickers left, it means no. If it flickers right, it means yes. So kind of like using that flame as a pendulum almost, you know? And then wax strips may indicate energy loss, blockages, or breakthroughs. And then lastly, trust your inner knowing even if you don't understand everything right away. And I'm guessing it's a lot like reading tea leaves or palm reading or any kind of form of divination. Like it takes practice, you know?
You're going to feel dumb at first, but just say everything that comes to mind or journal it, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just trust it.
Exactly. And then after the session, let the candle burn out fully when possible. And if you must stop it, snuff it respectfully and relight later. Yeah. Did you know there is like a right and wrong way to snuff your candle? I had no idea.
I know, like, if you can avoid blowing it out and snuff it out. But what do you mean the right and the wrong way to snuff it?
Like I heard that there's like, I don't know, you're supposed to keep the thing on there or like, you know, those Bath and Body Works candles that they all come with lids. You're supposed to just cap it on there and then leave it.
Girl, I was an altar server and I was super good at lighting and snuffing out those candles. I was like, boom.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if there's like a certain way to snuff out each type of candle, like a taper or a pillar. I don't know if there's like different protocols for different types of candles is what I'm saying.
Maybe they mean like don't like lick your fingers and like pinch it out.
Yeah, like that little
I think exactly. You're so cool. Jimmy would do that shit.
Yeah. How many times as like a kid did you ever just like put your finger in the fire and then like coat your entire fingertip in wax and then peel it off?
It feels so good. They do that shit in spas. It feels really good.
The paraffin treatment, right?
So nice. Did you ever coat your hands in hand sanitizer and then light them on fire?
What? No, you've done that?
Try it.
I'm a fire sign and all, but I think I'm good on that. You've tried that before?
It must be like a 7th, 8th grade, like trick or something like that, because it's like it burns blue for a little bit and then you shake off your hands. Caitlin thought I was crazy too. She's like, "You're thinking about something else, somebody else."
Insane.
I wish I had some sanitizer to show you.
But I need video of this.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Put it on the Patreon. Hey, we're gonna see all our free Patreon members turn to paid members just to see this shit.
Oh man,
it's so fucking funny. I've never
Ugh.
done that, but thank you for, no pun intended, enlightening me.
You're welcome.
I learn something new about you every day. It's a trip. Y'all find yourselves a Gemini and just become friends with them. It's a good time. Also, after the session, after you snuff out your candle, you can reuse the candle stub to maintain ritual continuity if you're doing ongoing work. I've also had a girl in my one of my full moon tea parties that she said that like once she uses a candle, she doesn't blow it out. She lets it burn until it exhausts itself. Just to make sure her magical working is like seen through to like the finalization.
That's dedication.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if she's talking about like these chunky motherfucker candles
Right.
or if she's like talking about like a little tea light or like,
Spell
something like
candle or something like
yeah,
even
something
those little spell candles burn for a half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. Takes a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah, they do take a long time. Even the tea lights will probably last like a few hours,
Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm doing like, little spell work, I'll use like a tea light. If it's something that's more extravagant or, calls for something more grandeur, I'll do something like a pillar or, tapers are cool because those make you feel super witchy, but I'm afraid to use those in the house with cats because they knock everything over and tapers make me so nervous.
Yeah,
I'll
I
reserve
agree.
those for
Very pretty.
outside spell work.
That must be
Yeah.
so pretty. Yeah.
For my party, I kind of want to put like tapered candles like all around because it's gonna be outdoors. So
That's
I
pretty.
wanna,
Have Avi
the most-
like hose down the yard first, just in case.
yeah. And well, New Jersey's been raining all week, so I think we'll be
I
fine.
think you guys are supposed to hop up real quick for some reason. I
Okay.
can't tell what's real news and what's fake anymore though, so check your
Everything's
weather.
AI. Even
Yeah.
our sky is AI at this point.
Yeah.
So the last one on this list is always fully extinguish larger fires and close the ritual with a prayer, bow, or gesture to seal the energetic space. And then obviously if you've called the quarters, then you close that, right? You do it in the other direction like we did in Salem.
That
right?
was so fun. I loved
That
it.
was a lot of fun.
I
Yeah.
found in my audio notes, I have that whole tour recorded on
I think
audio.
I have a lot of it recorded too.
Yeah.
We never posted that.
I don't think so. I need to get it off my phone, so maybe I will post that for maybe Halloween.
You know why I think we let that slip through the cracks? Because around that time, our campaign was launching. We, did our first stint in Boston. There was a lot going on, so I think it just like fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
That whole trip, I don't think we uploaded any of that footage. And I have all that Wayside Inn footage too that we gotta edit together.
I want to
got
see
a lot of content.
hobgoblin. Yeah. Yeah.
We got a lot
Only
of
if we can find
content.
some time. Mhm.
I know. All right, bring us into tarot correspondences.
Okay. Now that we've worked with fire on the altar, let's turn to the tarot deck because just like ritual magic, the element of fire brings a distinct energy to the cards, one of movement, courage, and transformation. Let's explore how it shows up, what it teaches, and how to work with it when it lands in your spread. In most tarot systems, wands are the suit associated with fire. They represent passion, creativity, willpower, action, and spiritual force. They're the suit of people who do.
The people, they're the suit of people who do.
Okay.
So it's the suit of the doers, like
Of the
people who
doers.
just like have to constantly be doing shit at all times. So
Got
basically,
it.
me. I can't sit still.
Yeah. These people who befriend Geminis, who follow inspiration, chase ideas, and often risk burnout in the
And
process.
light their hands on fire.
It's my party trick,
that's
right,
why
Sarah?
we're getting loopy. It's after hours.
When wands are in their strength, they signal confidence, vision, momentum, inspired leadership, the divine spark of purpose. But their shadow aspect, fire can consume. They represent impatience, sometimes burnout, ego, anger, reckless ambition. So when you see a lot of wands in a reading, the question might be, is this energy driving you or burning you out? So let's break down by area of life. So as far as love and relationships, wands energy brings passion, heat, and intensity. Think whirlwind romances, love at first sight, or a relationship that burns bright but fast. Sometimes it's about reigniting a spark or walking away when something has scorched the earth. If it involves a reading around career or creativity, this is the creative suit. Artists, entrepreneurs, anyone dreaming big. Wands represent bold action and risk-taking, and they're also a caution against burnout and impulsive leaps. If you're trying to figure out your finances in a reading, fire encourages bold investment, but warns against rash spending or overconfidence. You're being called to move, but do it with clarity, not just adrenaline. In health, fire in health can mean high energy and vitality, or signs of inflammation, stress, or nervous exhaustion. If wands dominate a health spread, check for balance. Is the fire fueling you or frying your system?
See, I am very weary of health spreads. I don't know how I feel about health spreads because, like, just go see a doctor. If you
Agreed.
think something is wrong, don't consult your tarot. Just go to the doctor.
Yeah.
You know?
No question.
Mm.
So several major arcana cards carry the signature of fire. Some of them we've already mentioned. You were listening closely, even if not officially labeled with it. So we did mention the Tower. It's that sudden destruction, fire from above, and radical change. You know, everything seems to be falling apart, but that's for a reason. Then we have our beautiful Sun card, radiance, clarity, illumination. The Strength card has that lion on it. It's connected with Leo and the hot of August. Strength is courage, heart-centered willpower. We have the Chariot, sometimes associated with fire when willpower is the dominant theme here. The Judgment card, the rising of inner fire for transformation and calling. These cards don't just reflect fire's energy, they demand it. In many decks, fire imagery is woven into the art itself. Flames behind a figure leaping from the tower, a glowing staff in the hand of the Queen of Wands, Justina's favorite.
Love her.
And the yellow-orange palette of the Sun card. Salamanders, a traditional fire element, can be seen curled into the King of Wands robe. I didn't know that. And the color red, wands, staff motifs, sunbursts, and fireplaces or torches are all clues to elemental fire at work. So even when the suit isn't wands, look for those visual cues, and they could tell you when fire energy is entering the reading, like through the back door.
We've seen fire in philosophy and ritual and in tarot, but now let's look up. Because fire burns just as brightly in the stars. In astrology, fire is one of the 4 classical elements, and it rules 3 powerful, passionate signs: Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Each one expresses... Oh, Coraline's an Aries, so she's my fire baby.
Cute.
Each one expresses fire in its own distinct way, but together they form that elemental backbone of boldness, creativity, and courage in the zodiac. So let's meet them. So first we have the Aries, Miss Coraline here, cardinal fire, and Aries is the initiator. It's ruled by Mars, and the energy is direct, impulsive, and bold. And Aries is the match strike. She just hissed at him, proving me right here. Aries is the match strike. It lights the fuse. So think action and leadership, confrontation.
I am a project manager.
Okay, Garen.
It's my
so
Aries.
funny. Yeah. Every time, like I think of or I hear somebody like, getting like super type A about something that they're working on. Now I have Erin's voice in my head. I'm a project manager.
I love it.
Yeah. I think I was listening back to that episode recently when we were talking about that. And I was
My
like,
poor
"Oh,
boy.
so hard."
I think he's got a good balance. That Sagittarius rising really chills
Yeah.
him out.
Really?
Good. Yeah. He's
Even
chill as
though
fuck.
that's double fire?
He's Aries, Sun, Moon, and Sagittarius rising.
Holy shit, bro.
I know.
All right.
It just negates itself.
Okay,
So
it
he's
cancels itself out.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have Leo, and that's fixed fire, and they're the flame keeper. Ooh, I like that.
Mm.
And Leo's ruled by the sun, and energy is radiant, steady, and loyal. And Leo holds the fire. It's the campfire everyone gathers around. So think charisma, pride, and performance. And then we have me. Sagittarius is a mutable fire, so this is the wildfire. Okay, ruled by Jupiter, energy, expansive, restless, philosophical. I can see that. Sagittarius spreads the fire. It wants to see the world burn, but in the best way.
Yeah.
So think freedom, belief, adventure. Like, yeah, we're gonna do this shit.
Go listen to our roast episode.
Mega roast.
Yes,
That was a
we
good one.
roasted the Sages.
That was funny.
Real good.
Yeah. Each of these signs expresses fire through a different mode of movement, starting, sustaining, and spreading. So let's break that down. So cardinal fire, the Aries, begins the cycle. It's the starter pistol. The fixed fire, Leo, it holds it steady, and it's the eternal flame. And then mutable fire, Sagittarius, adapts and shifts. It's the wildfire blown by the wind. Together, they teach us that fire can't stay still. It needs motion, direction, and purpose. And fire signs are ruled by some of the most forceful celestial bodies. So Mars, Aries, which is action, aggression, and drive. The Sun for Leo, identity, vitality, and ego. And Jupiter, Sagittarius, expansion, philosophy, and luck. And these planets amplify fire's yang nature. They are active, outward, and assertive. And when they show up strong in a birth chart, they bring high energy, strong will, and often a need for freedom, recognition, or purpose. You know, most of like my favorite singer-songwriters are Sagittarians.
Oh, like who?
Like, well, not just singer-songwriters, but like celebrities and singers like Christina Aguilera, Taylor Swift, pretty sure Amy Lee, Britney Spears.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
There's a lot of them. It's like there's more Sagittarian singers than you would even think of.
I bet they have Gemini friends.
They might. They might. Yeah, but I'm always like, why am I drawn to these people? I guess I see myself in them a little bit, like the creativity.
It's inspiring.
And, like, it's so inspiring. Yeah. And I'm just like obsessed with all of them. What does fire teach us in astrology? At its best, fire is inspiring, visionary, and motivating. It fuels confidence, creativity, conviction. It wants to move the world. And sometimes it really does. But in the shadow, fire can be impulsive, reactive, and egocentric. It can burn others or itself when unchecked, and it may resist rest, softness, or vulnerability. So fire's core lesson in astrology is this: what will you do with the energy that moves through you? Will you use it to create or to consume?
Yeah.
I like to think I do a little bit of both, because like it's kind of like cyclical, right? You can't be creating all the time or you will burn out, and you can't consume all the time or you'll just rot. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
if you take in too much information with no output, it's too much. It's like overload, you know? You have to output at some point. So that's kind of how I try to like sustain myself. Otherwise, I'll just like friggin' burn out or just be a mush on the couch, just constantly consuming content and like YouTube. Like I could watch YouTube for hours, trust me. But then at some point, I'm like, I should probably get off the couch and actually do something, you know?
Yeah.
So
Gotta find that
there's a
sweet
balance.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have lit the candles, pulled the tarot, traced the fire in our charts. Now let's talk about the gods who rule the forge and fire and the spirits who dance through the flame. This is where fire becomes archetype. There are so many fire gods throughout every culture, it seems, so here are just a few. So across cultures, the element of fire is often personified through gods, goddesses, and spirits, each carrying different facets of the flame. So let's meet a few of them. So let's begin with Agni, who I mentioned earlier. Agni is through the Hindu culture, the god of fire, messenger of the gods, and a conduit of prayer. Agni carries offerings from earth to heaven and is always present in sacred rituals, symbolizing transformation, purification, and divine presence. And then in Greek culture, there's Helios, personification of the sun. Roman culture, we talked about Hestia a little bit, a goddess of hearth and fire. And the Roman version of Hestia is Vesta. When we think of fire in magic, we often go straight to spell candles, bonfires, or burning herbs, but fire isn't only about the dramatic displays of power, it's also about continuity, community, and the quiet stability of home. And for that, we turn to the goddess Hestia, or Vesta in her Roman form. Hestia wasn't the flashiest of the Olympians. I think she's a virgin goddess by choice.
Oh yeah, we talked about her on another episode. I can't remember which one it was.
I don't know.
Was it the spinsters? Because
It might.
It might have been that one.
Yeah. Yeah, she wasn't the flashiest of the Olympians. In fact, she's often left out of myths altogether. But that's just because she was too important to be pulled into the petty drama. Hestia represents the sacred hearth, the living flame at the heart of the home and temple. Her fire was not of war or of show, but of warmth and meals and peace. In Rome, her presence as Vesta becomes more institutionalized. The Vestal Virgins, a select group of priestesses, were tasked with keeping the sacred fire of Vesta burning at all times. The flame wasn't just symbolic. If it ever went out, it was seen as an omen of chaos, collapse, or even invasion. In other words, when the hearth goes cold, civilization crumbles.
The tower card.
Yeah. Also in Greek We have Apollo, god of the sun, healing, prophecy, writing, music, I think, as well. Hephaestus, or in Greek, or Vulcan in Roman, the god of the forge and flame, a blacksmith deity who works with molten metal, crafting weapons and tools for gods and mortals alike. He represents creative fire, what we build when we can withstand the heat. There's Brigid, goddess of the hearth in Celtic mythology. Inspiration, smithcraft. Bridget embodies the sacred flame of the home and the poetic fire of creativity. Her fire is protective, nurturing, and deeply domestic, yet magical. Then there's Pele of Hawaii, goddess of volcanoes, creation, and destruction. Pele's fire is not metaphorical. It forms lands, reshapes landscapes, and reminds us that fire is both mother and destroyer. And then in Egypt, we have Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of war, healing, and retribution. Her breath is said to create the desert. She's the scorching sun, the wild blaze, the fierce protection of righteous fire. And each of these deities teaches us a different fire lesson: transformation, forging, creation, destroy, purify, protect. I wanted to throw Ra in here. He's the fire god of the sun, light, warmth, and growth. And myths don't just stop with the gods. Fire appears in folk tales across time, such as Prometheus, who stole the fire from the gods to give to humanity as an act of rebellion and love, and then he is punished for all eternity. I think he's the one who's like strapped to the stone and a bird comes and eats his liver every day.
Oh.
Yes. So that movie that Justina, we talked about this a while ago, The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, that's a take on the Prometheus tale.
Oh.
Yeah. So the phoenix we touched on earlier, mythical bird who burns and is reborn, a cycle of death and renewal wrapped in flame. Then there's the will-o'-the-wisp, if you've ever seen the movie Brave, the little Scottish girl.
Love that term, the will-o'-the-wisp.
Will-o'-the-wisp.
I started trying to write a song with that title.
I like an alliteration.
Because there's that game, The Night of the Rabbit, that I love playing, and there's a scene in the game where there's the will-o'-the-wisp. I guess, I don't know if it's a trickster fire spirit, but in the distance, it's like a mysterious green glow that is often seen in like marshes and stuff.
Yeah, that's freaking cool.
And I was like, that is so cool.
That
and there's
is
like a
cool.
little like frog that like talks and stuff, and I'm just obsessed. But
Yeah.
love that term.
Exactly. Yeah, the trickster fire spirit seen in marshes, luring wanderers astray. And then there are the salamanders, once believed to live inside fire, untouched by flame, a creature of pure elemental essence. These aren't just stories, they're maps. Each one shows us the path through fire, a warning, a calling. In magical traditions, fire is often associated with those kind of animals like the lion, the dragon, the phoenix, the salamander. Some of the plants, I think we do more plants later, could be cinnamon, cayenne, rosemary, clove, sunflower. These are energetic, stimulating, often warming herbs and creatures. They invigorate, quicken the pulse, and stir the spirit. Fire's plant allies are used in spells for action, passion, confidence, and cleansing. In alchemy, fire is an agent of transformation. The symbol is the upward pointing triangle we talked about, representing the rising heat and the soul's ascension. Fire is the first step in the great work: calcination, the burning away of impurities, the ego dissolving into flame.
I think we might have talked about some of this on our alchemy episode when we did that.
Sounds sounding familiar.
Yeah, we mentioned the Sephira earlier, and I was like, oh, that term sounds familiar. I think we definitely talked about that on that episode. And then moving along to the esoteric and occult systems, we've worked with fire in myth, in ritual, and in the stars. But now we enter the esoteric, the hidden, the symbolic worlds behind the world. This is where fire shows up in Kabbalah, in elemental spirits, in numerology, and in the occult traditions that keep ancient flame alive beneath the surface. In the Tree of Life, fire is most often associated with the Sephirot, there's that word again, of Geburah, the sphere of judgment, severity, and discipline. Where Chesed is mercy, Geburah is necessary destruction. The sword, the flame that burns away illusion to reveal truth. Geburah is ruled by Mars, its color is red, and its energy is forceful, exacting, and transformative. Some practitioners also associate fire with the pillar of form, the active shaping energy that moves from divine inspiration toward manifestation. Fire here is not chaos, it is divine will in action. In Western occultism, the four classical elements each have a corresponding elemental being. Like, we've talked about this. Was it the Earth episode where we were talking about the gnomes?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sylphs are the air spirits, the undines are water spirits. We did not do our water element yet, which I can't wait to do that, because some of that, like, those, like, underwater myths and, like, mermaids, I fucking love all of that. And for fire, salamanders, dragons, scorpions, etc., these aren't the amphibians that you'll find under a log. These are the mythical beings of living flame. Salamanders were believed to live in fire, to feed it, shape it, and sometimes withhold it. They represent the raw, untamed power of fire, not intellectualized or domesticated, but wild and burning. In ritual, some call on the salamanders when working with fire for protection, inspiration, courage, or to invoke the flame of purification. You might visualize them dancing in candles, hiding in coals, or flickering in a hearth fire. In numerology, fire is often aligned with the number 1 and 9. 1 is the spark, the origin and the singularity of will and intention, and 9 is the flame that completes the cycle, full of wisdom, heat, and resolve. You may also notice fire-heavy people are drawn to the number 3. A triangle, the most stable shape made of motion, passion, creativity, and direction. In magical systems, even the shape of a triangle with its point upward has long represented fire, action, and transformation. Fire is deeply embedded in occult lineages, both Eastern and Western. In Thelema? What's Thelema?
That's like Aleister Crowley.
Okay. In Thelema, fire represents will, the divine, conscious desire to act in alignment with your true self. In Hermeticism, fire is both a literal and symbolic stage of transmutation used in mental alchemy to burn away false belief and ignite higher consciousness. In Rosicrucian texts, fire is seen as the element of purification and initiation, something you must pass through to gain access to deeper knowledge. And across mystery schools, fire often guards the gate to transformation. You must stand in it, endure it, and become more because of it. Have you ever heard of the term fire in the belly? Well, we talked about fire in the belly earlier today, right? And that is the will to transform. And this is in esoteric and magical traditions, fire in the belly isn't just a motivational phrase, it's a metaphysical principle. It refers to the inner fire that drives change, willpower, and action, what the ancients might call the spark of divine will made manifest in the body. In chakra systems, this fire is located in the solar plexus, the third chakra, or manipura, tied to personal power, self-discipline, and transformation. And this is where the fire is held within the self, not wild like a blaze, but steady and potent like a forge. In Hermetic thought, this would be considered the internal flame that fuels the great work, the alchemical transformation of the self. Without that belly fire, there's no catalyst for change, no will, no heat to break down the ego in the crucible of growth. And in ritual magic, the fire in the belly becomes fuel for spell casting and intention. It's the difference between words spoken and spells embodied. Fire without, candles, flames, sigils require fire within to activate. To cultivate this internal fire, you can do some of these exercises like breathe deeply into your core, visualize a golden orange flame pulsing behind your navel, where your solar plexus resides. Feed it with focused intention and let it grow steady and not in a chaotic manner. So I guess you're kind of learning to like control that inner fire in some kind of way.
I can see it being like a nice little pulse, like it can grow, but it can restrict, and you have it just in the right spot.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure there's like, you probably find meditations on how to do that on YouTube. There's meditations for all the different chakras. And I think there's probably like the singing bowls. If you do like a certain hertz or a certain like a pitch, different pitches align with different chakras.
What I didn't mention in the gods little segment was I don't know what you were reading. I was thinking of Howl's Moving Castle. There's like a fire demon and his name's Calcifer, but he represents Howl's heart. Like he's an actual piece of his heart, or like a fallen star. That I love that movie. It's a book too.
And earlier, didn't we say like the heart represents fire, the element of fire?
The heart is an organ of fire.
Yeah, that is cool. I never realized that before.
Yeah. So let's bring fire into the body, more through the belly, right? Into the breath, into the blood, into the systems that burn, digest, oh God, heartburn, and move us forward.
Oh, heartburn. Christina's got her powdered Tums in her wallet, ready to go.
You snort it later. This is where fire gets felt. Let's begin with the tools that hold fire's frequency. We'll start with crystals. Crystals that resonate with fire tend to be warming, energizing, and activating. Think the reds, the oranges, the golds, stones that ignite that solar plexus or strengthen the heart. So some of these stones that align are carnelian, which can help with the courage, vitality, sensual confidence. Garnet, grounding, passion, strength, sexual energy. Sunstone, to help with personal power, joy, solar vitality. Citrine, creativity, motivation, manifestation. Ruby can help with loyalty, love, primal fire. Pyrite, protection, focus, and willpower, and even looks like a gold flame. These are great allies when you're feeling burned out, uninspired, or stagnant. They're also helpful when you need to channel boldness, heat, or confidence. Try placing them on your solar plexus, carrying them in your pocket, or using them in candle magic. I gotta get my citrine in my pockets more.
I have a nice like chunk of raw citrine. It's probably like my favorite, one of my favorite crystals ever. It's so pretty.
So, how about some herbs? We'll get into the herbs here. Often spicy, aromatic, or sun-loving. They stimulate digestion, circulation, or creative energy. So here are some common herb allies. Cinnamon, attraction, speed, fiery passion. Ginger for protection, energy, motivation. Clove for banishing heat and strength. Chili powder, raw heat, action, potency. I'm going to add cayenne in there as well. Basil, purification, prosperity, courage. Sunflower for solar joy, optimism, and light.
Calendula or marigold too are very fiery flowers to work with.
I was trying to think of any others that are fiery. You know those like really pretty, you'll see them at Home Depot. I think they're called like fire pokers or something like that. They're red and they're like cone shaped.
Yeah, I have seen
Those are
those.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essential oils like black pepper, cardamom, and rosemary also carry fire signatures, perfect for anointing candles or boosting confidence before public speaking or performances. These plants burn bright. Use them wisely and respectfully. Fire is most commonly associated with the solar plexus, as Justina told us. Manipura in Sanskrit meaning lustrous gem. The solar plexus is located in your upper abdomen. I'm thinking like between your belly button and your pubis.
Your pubis.
The color is yellow, associated with willpower, digestion, self-esteem, transformation. When this chakra is balanced, you'd feel motivated, clear, courageous, and energized. If it's out of whack, fire in the body might look like burnout, rage, ulcers or inflammation, indecision or lack of drive, exhaustion, or explosive anger. Other fire-touched areas include the heart, the adrenal system, and small intestines. So too much fire in your system might feel like restlessness, snapping at others, overworking or pushing beyond limits, heartburn, or literally overheating, difficulty
There you
sleeping
go.
due to racing thoughts. Yeah.
There I go.
There you go. I don't have heartburn
Uh-huh.
but I have a little bit of the overheating later that
Yeah,
affects many
Avi-
women.
Avi gets that when Avi gets like overheated, his ears turn red, like
Aw.
bright red. And he's like, I can tell when he's getting tired because his ears are just fire. He's like, are my ears red?
Poor
And I'm
thing.
like, yeah. He's like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna go to bed now.
Oh, what an interesting tell.
Yeah, we know when his ears turn red, it's time for him to go take a nappy nap. So funny.
So a little too much fire might look like lethargy, loss of purpose, indecision, lack of libido or motivation, feeling invisible or dull. The key is harmony. Fire that warms, not scorches, that moves you, not consumes you. Here are some gentle ways to attune to your inner fire. You can do a little sunbathing, be mindful, don't just be out there with the coconut oil basting in the sun forever. 10 to 15 minutes. Fire meditations, sit with a candle, breathe with its rhythm. You can do that solar plexus breath work, breathe deeply into your belly, exhale through your mouth. Movement rituals like dance, yoga, even shaking to stoke that inner fire. You start sweating your ass off. If you ever dance in a club,
Yeah.
I'm not looking cute dancing in a club. I'm sweating.
Right.
You can do a little journal prompts here. You can focus on where is my fire today? What am I burning for? And what needs to be released through flame? Justina told us about the fire gazing. You do fire gazing or scrying. You use candle magic associated with like the colors orange, red, yellow, gold, and light the flame with intention and watch what rises.
Oh, I thought of another flower that we didn't mention earlier. That's a really big one. Dandelion.
Oh yeah. And a
Dandelion.
marigold. That thing is fucking red.
Yeah. Dandelions are a great one to work with. I've done some dandelion magic in my day.
Yeah, dandelion. Black-eyed Susans.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Yes. Black-eyed Susans.
I think they're called Indian blankets. They're like red on the inside. They look like a black-eyed
Yeah.
Susan, but they're red on the inside and then they
like a
get yellow.
gradient. Ooh,
Oh, it's a
that's so
sunburst.
pretty. Yeah. I love flowers.
I know.
I
We're
love
such
all-
softies.
So let's talk about something more immediate. How do you live with fire daily? How do you connect to it when you're commuting to work, doing dishes, or trying to write that email that needs more courage than you currently have? And this is where elemental integration meets real life. This is practical magic, right? So here are a few simple low barrier ways to connect with fire every day. You can light your candle with intention in the morning and say a single word that you want to embody, like clarity, courage, energy, or truth. Take a solar walk, get out into the sun, let it warm your face, feel your heartbeat quicken, walk with purpose. Also, if you're in New Jersey and like you just got out of a rough winter, your skin needs that vitamin D.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, when I went to the doctor, when I was going through all my doctor shit this past winter, I'm very low in vitamin D and I had to go on the supplements.
Yeah.
And my doctor was like, yeah, it's just unfortunately the case with people in New Jersey. Like people in New Jersey just tend to have low vitamin D because half the year it's like nobody's going outside.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Believe it.
Yeah. So and then fire breath practice. What is this word? Kapalabhati pranayama, or short bursts of exhale through the nose to ignite inner energy. So is it like I think that's what it's like. Yeah, I think that's what it means. And then cook something spicy, sip some warm tea, stretch in the sunlight. Fire lives in the smallest little acts too. Or if you're making your banana bread or your Sunday morning pancakes, put a little cinnamon in that, you know, or cinnamon in your coffee. Whatever helps you get into that mood. Speaking of spicy, it is Taco Tuesday, and I can't wait to get me some.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, with some Taco Bell fire sauce. Let me some Taco Bell sauce. So fire energy can show up anywhere. You just need to call it consciously. If you live in an urban area, you can work with the heat of movement, like bike commuting, walking fast with music, or lighting a candle on a city windowsill, and let electric light become a proxy flame, especially neon and reds and oranges. If you live in a more rural area, you can build a fire pit, burn your brush, warm your hands near a stove, let sunrises and wood smoke guide your rhythms. And if you're looking for a more nature-based way to incorporate it, you can hike at high noon. I would not recommend that personally. If you overheat easily, just like
maybe if you're looking at winter hiking and you want to honor that sun that's there for such little time.
Right. Yeah, you could do that. Or if you're not so into like the heightened heat of the day, maybe do it at sunrise. You can do a sun salutation in the morning. Then it's when it's still nice and cool out, even in the summer.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's different times of day for everybody. And meditate with your back to the sun and make an offering to a fire safely. Burn herbs, dried flowers, or written fears. And you can throw that shit in a fire. Throw all your fears in that fire. And fire is easiest to evoke through the senses. So with sight, it's with flames, the color red, flickering light, sunrise and sunset. To utilize it with your smell, you can sniff some cinnamon, some clove, some wood smoke, some chili, some frankincense. When obviously cooking with chili, I can be across the house and that shit will tingle in my nose and I can't stop sneezing.
I should have taken a picture the other day. I processed like a bunch of onions and I had Aaron get me goggles. So I was wearing goggles and a face mask because I had 2 bags, one of red and one of yellow, and I did them all and I was still crying.
Oh my God. I heard that it's not your eyes that get affected. It's actually, I think, your nose or your taste buds. That's why they say to, when you're cutting onions, suck on a piece of lemon, and it's supposed to like avert the I guess the tingling sensation from the onions.
My mask was not working.
Yeah, next time try the lemon trick. See if it works.
Yeah.
So as far as smell, yeah. So, and also list frankincense on this list as well. And then as far as taste, you can go for spicy. You can try something grilled, warm, or roasted. One of my favorite things to eat in the summertime, it gives you all those spicy, warm feels. Grilled pineapple with cinnamon.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that on here. It sounds good.
One of my favorite things.
What's the spice that goes around the rim drink that you have?
Oh, tahini.
Tahini. Is that spicy?
It's not spicy. It's like a chili lime kind of taste, but it pairs really well with like a spicy margarita. So if like you have like a mango spicy margarita with like the jalapeno in it, it gives it that little like tart limey kind of flavor. But it also kind of has like a chili flavor, but it's not spicy.
I could talk about food all day. I want to make some jalapeno cornbread muffins here and tomorrow. Dude, we got to keep going because my mouth is watering for food now.
So going back to the tahini, watermelon. Just sprinkle it on some watermelon. That's so refreshing. Weird. So refreshing. You think it's weird, but it's like, it works. I can't explain it.
Cool.
I don't make the rules.
Are we going to have a cookbook?
We should.
We should have a cookbook.
As far as touch goes, going back to the senses, sun-warmed skin, wool blankets, holding a hot mug, and
Heated
then
blankets.
I love the blankets that just come out fresh out of the dryer, right?
Yeah.
As far as sounds, maybe put on, if you don't have the real thing, you can, put on some soundtrack of like a crackling fire, some drumming or fast-paced music. Or if that gives you anxiety, just maybe stick with the crackling fire if the fast-paced music, raises your heart rate too much. That's like my mother. She can't listen to like certain things sometimes because she's like, can somebody shut this off? It's giving me anxiety. I'm like, D, you're insane. Oh my God. And then as far as movement practices, you can do dancing, power yoga, martial arts, sprints or high intensity movements. And then as far as meditation prompts, you can sit before a candle flame, breathe with it, visualize your inner fire. What color is it today? And where is it in your body? And what does it need? And then some journaling questions. You can journal these, what fuels me, what drains me, where have I been holding back my fire, how do I respond to heat emotionally, energetically, and physically, and when did I last truly feel alive? I guess for anybody who's feeling a little lackluster lately, these are some good prompts to do just to get back in touch with that inner fire. And then some tarot prompts. You can ask your tarot deck, where do I need more fire in my life? Or if you're feeling overwhelmed and you have too much going on and you need kind of like to figure out where to put that energy, maybe come at it from that standpoint. Like, where should I put my energy, or where should I put my fire today? Like, what project should I focus on and work on? Yeah. And then you can draw a single card, let it speak, and let it spark something. And then some physical manifestations of fire. Speaking for all of all
of us.
I'm probably gonna get menopausal soon.
Dude, I think I'm getting these.
Yeah. Well, we're in the age bracket now for perimenopause. That's like a whole other thing. Yeah.
I think I'm getting these hot flashes.
Yeah. So I get hot flashes anyway because like I get motion sickness. So if I'm like moving too much, and like the window in Avi's car is like always up, down, up, down. He's like, "Can you make up your goddamn mind?" I'm like, "I'm having a hot flash." And then 5 seconds later, I'm freezing and I can't explain it. I'm like, "Oh, you just wait until I hit menopause. You're gonna have a real good time."
Right.
So hot flashes are typically understood as a symptom of hormonal changes, especially during perimenopause and menopause. But in energetic or elemental traditions, they can also be viewed as expressions of internal fire rising. So what is a hot flash physically? It's a sudden intense wave of heat that rises through the chest, the neck, and the face. Like, right, you get really flushed sometimes when that happens, and often accompanied by sweating, flushing, anxiety, or a racing heart. And this can be triggered by stress, emotion, food, or changes in body chemistry, or if you're like me and you can't read and be in a passenger seat at the same time. Like, I will get a hot flash. From a fire element perspective, hot flashes may reflect a couple things. So first of all, heat rising unchecked. Fire is naturally upward moving. So a hot flash mirrors uncontained fire rising too quickly through the energetic system. In Chinese medicine, this would be a yang excess of, quote, false heat. Next, energy purification or emotional release. Fire is the agent of transformation. When old emotions, rage, grief, repression begin to move, the body may manifest that as heat. Think of it as a calcination on a cellular level. And then next, Kundalini stirring. In some esoteric traditions, sudden internal heat is associated with spiritual awakening, especially when it starts in the lower body and rises. Hot flashes could metaphorically represent the activation of dormant energy, particularly in women entering a new phase of personal power. Maybe that's all menopause is we're just entering that new phase of personal power.
We're igniting, man.
Right?
I hate it.
That crone stage when we're just like, we're too smart for our own good at that stage in life, and then you just fucking hate everybody younger than you because you're like, I've been through it.
And you're like, burn it all to the ground.
Right. And then initiation by flame. Fire isn't just physical, it's symbolic. Hot flashes can be reframed as a kind of initiation. The fire is rising. What are you burning through, and what is ready to transform? And then we have spontaneous human combustion, the fire from within. There's a long-standing historical fear, half legend, half mystery, that a person can suddenly burst into flames from the inside out. It's like that song Pardon Me by Incubus, right? Pardon me while I burst into flames. Love that song. I think in the second verse he talks about a man literally spontaneously combusting.
Maybe it's the guy we're going to talk about shortly.
Oh, there's a real account of this? Oh, shit.
I didn't read ahead. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So, no match, no candle, no accelerant, just a body igniting. And this is known as spontaneous human combustion, or SHC. And while modern scientists find it highly improbable, the fear of it has haunted literature, folklore, and even coroners' reports for centuries. In most reported SHC cases, often from the 17th to 19th centuries, the victim is found burned beyond recognition, then surroundings left mostly intact, with feet or lower limbs oddly unburned. So this gives the chilling image of a person consumed by an internal fire, one that defies natural laws. One of the most famous causes or cases appears in Charles Dickens's Bleak House, where he wrote something else besides A Christmas Story. That's all I know by him. Bleak House, where a character named Mr. Crook literally combusts mid-narrative. Dickens defends this plot twist by citing real reports from the era. This is a quote from Charles Dickens from Bleak House, 1853. Quote, "It is not a fiction founded on any unlikely or remote circumstance. It has occurred before now and may occur again." End quote. Whether or not it ever truly occurred, SHC reveals something deeper, a cultural anxiety about uncontained inner fire. Think about it. Rage that simmers too long, repression that builds heat in the body, passion or guilt that overwhelms. SHC becomes a metaphor for what happens when fire goes unbalanced, when emotion is unexpressed, when the internal flames turn inward and consumes the self. In esoteric terms, SHC reflects fear of losing control of one's life force, the fire that once warmed now devours. And science today offers alternative theories. The, quote, wick effect, where the body fat acts like candle wax once ignited. Proximity to open flames, candles and cigarettes, medical conditions affecting mobility, metabolism, or alcohol intake. But even with logical explanations, the myth endures because it speaks to a deeper truth about the human psyche. We are afraid of the fire inside us, what it might do if left untended.
Also, 17th to 19th century, prime Victorian time, in pre-Victorian, everything can kill you. Everything is combustible. Everything is flammable, from their skirts to the wallpaper to the hair stuff, and the makeup.
Yeah.
No wonder.
Literally everything.
Literally everything. Yeah. So let's round out and close out the fire series with something rhythmic, something cyclical, because fire, like the sun it mirrors, has its seasons. There are times in the year when fire is naturally at its strongest, when rituals burn brightest, passions rise faster, and we're asked to step into visibility. Let's look at when that is and what to do with it. So, fire is the strongest in the summer, of course, when the sun is at its highest and daylight dominates. In the northern hemisphere, the peak fire period is Beltane, which is May 1st, the first true spark. Letha, which is our summer solstice we just had. Ours this year, our album Droppeth Day. The fire at full blaze during this time.
I like that. The droppeth day.
And then there's Lammas, which is August 1st, and that's the slow golden burn before the seasons shift and we go into that harvest time of the year. This is the summertime of action, expression, and visibility. It's when your rituals should be big and bold and infused with heat. This is not a time to hide your light, it's a time to stand in it. So let's break down these Sabbats a little bit that are tied to the fire. I searched Beltane, Letha, and Summer Solstice, and I only found one in Rules of Magic, which you already read. I didn't look at Lammas.
Okay.
So maybe, but starting with May 1st, Beltane, the themes include fertility, passion, ignition. Fires are lit to symbolize life force and sacred unions. It's a great time for jumping the fire, dancing around bonfires, and setting passionate intentions. We have Letha, or Midsummer, Summer Solstice. Our episode 87 covers everything you want to know about the solstice. Plus, episode 88 is our very special song-episode featuring our original song by the same name. So go check that out.
Very good episode. Highly recommend. It's hilarious.
10 out of 10 would do again.
Would recommend.
These themes for Letha include fullness, celebration, power. We are so celebratory, right? Even still leading up while we're recording this. We've been celebrating the completion of this EP. It's so exciting for us.
Very.
It's the longest day of the year when solar energy is at its peak. So it's a great time for solar offerings, fire circles, and gratitude for growth. And then we have Lammas or Lunasaw, August 1st. The ritual themes include harvest, preparation, and transformation. The fire here is slower, more of a hearth than a bonfire. It's a great time for kitchen magic, baking bread, sun rituals at dusk. Each of these festivals holds fire differently. Beltane is the spark, Letha is the blaze, and Lomas as embers. And when you build a seasonal fire ritual, consider these guiding themes. So initiation, start something bold. Manifestation, bring ideas into form. Cleansing, burn away fears or blockages. Celebration, let go of something with fire's help. Fire rituals often involve candles, bonfires, burning herbs, or writing fears and casting them into the flame. But it can also be as simple as watching the sunrise with intention, or cooking with flame mindfully, or lighting a birthday candle and whispering yes. So here are a few ways to honor fire in rhythm with the seasons. You could build that seasonal altar with using the red, orange, or gold, offer dried herbs or sunflowers to the sacred flame, make solar teas, let herbs steep in a jar under the midday sun. Aaron used to do this a lot. He would make sun tea.
Sun tea? Oh, yeah, my mom makes sun tea a lot.
Yeah. Burn a letter of release under the full moon. Collect firewood with gratitude, even if it's only symbolically. Host a fire circle or storytelling night, or like Justina, host a solstice gathering and blow it out big. If you are in a hot climate or burn restricted area, remember fire is symbolic. So you could do like a red ribbon or a warm cup of tea, or candle flame can just hold just as much power and presence. Fire marks the high point of the wheel, where things come to fruition, where the harvest begins, where we're asked not just to shine, but to sustain our light. Let fire guide your calendar, not with burnout, but with seasonal brilliance. There's a time to spark, a time to burn, a time to glow, and a time to rest the flame. As the wheel turns, may your fire turn with it. And while we're talking about ritual fires, let's talk a little bit about cleansing fire versus persecutory fire. Ritual fires, like those of Beltane, Holika Dahan, or Imbolc, are meant to cleanse, burning away the old to make space for renewal. Holika Dahan precedes the festival of Holi in India. This fire symbolizes the victory of good over evil. It commemorates the burning of the demoness, Holika, who was immune to fire until she misused it. Across history, we see fire turn from sacred to sinister we touched on this earlier, during the Inquisition and the witch trials of Europe and the Americas. Fire was used as punishment, a public spectacle of persecution. Accused witches were bound, tied without justice, and burned. And it wasn't fire itself that was cruel, it was how it was wielded. What had once been an agent of spiritual transformation became a tool of control, fear, and erasure. We ask, what makes the difference? It's intention. Cleansing fire is consensual. It is approached with reverence, care, and ritual. It's fire as ally. Persecutory fire is imposed. It burns bodies to erase what threatens power. It's fire as enforcer, and yet some stories resist. The ashes don't always mean the end. Like the phoenix, like the bonfire that blazes even in winter, fire has memory. It holds both destruction and possibility. What we do with it and why makes all the difference.
Yeah. And to close out here, at the end of our journey through the fire element, we've walked through its myth and memory, and we've seen its danger and its beauty. We've followed it from the first flicker all the way to the flame. But before we close, I want to return to where this all began, the world of practical magic. Fire in Practical Magic, both book and film. In Alice Hoffman's novel, fire lives in the details, in the simmering resentment between the sisters, in the burning grief of love lost, in the candlelit rituals passed down through generations. It's quieter there, less cinematic, more internal. Fire smolders under the surface in the rules of magic and magic lessons, too. It's the fever of first love, the heat of intuition, the spark of rebellion in every Owens woman who refuses to dim herself. Then the film came, and fire took on new life. It danced in candles, in hearths, in desert motels. We watched young Sally blow on a candle and light it, not extinguish it, right? Calling something ancient into being. We saw fire in Gillian's wild freedom and her beautiful red hair. And in Midnight Margaritas, in a cast iron pan wielded like a weapon, in the fireplace where sisters shared secrets. And at the end, on Halloween night, fire became celebration. Lanterns lit, jack-o'-lanterns glowing, no longer hidden, from fear to freedom, from flicker to blaze, from secret to shared light. So what have we learned? Through this elemental arc, we've explored fire as a tool of transformation, a source of willpower and creation, a destroyer when imbalanced, a healer when embodied, a teacher in myth, magic, astrology, and spirit. We've met its gods and its guardians, we've worked with its crystals and its herbs, we've watched it rise and rest in ritual, tarot, and seasonal rhythms, and most importantly, we brought it home, into daily life, into breath, and into intention. Fire asks one thing of us, to show up, to step forward, to speak boldly, to act with purpose, to burn away what no longer serves us, and to let ourselves shine, even when the world tells us to stay small. So here's our final thought for you, dear listener. What is your fire for? What deserves the flame of your attention, your devotion, and your voice? Light your candle, speak the words, write the spell, walk toward what matters, especially when it scares you, because fire is not here to burn you. It's here to wake you up. So yeah,
Wake up.
wake the fuck up.
Because it is, the heart is an organ of fire.
Yeah. Channel your inner Queen of Wands and get to work.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about that project, that you've just been like thinking about it, get it down, get it out, start it.
It could be messy. It doesn't, you don't even have to finish it, but it's down. It started.
Get it started. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, so that is all we have for you guys today. Just a reminder, you can check out all of the sources pertaining to today's episode via our hero page. The link is in our show notes. And thanks again to our patron and Palmiers for creating this app and keeping creators like us organized. If you guys do want to support the podcast on Patreon, you can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's our seedling tier, and that gets you access to our patron-only polls where you get to weigh in on what topics you would like us to talk about next. It also gets you our monthly calendar so you can see what topics we have coming up for the month, and it also gets you a welcome shout out on the show. Our $3 Lavender Bud tier gets you our show notes for each episode in an aesthetically pleasing PDF, our after hours posts, if there's any extra tidbits or behind the scenes info pertaining to any of our episodes, we'll post those along with a blog post or extra photos, and access to our specially curated Spotify playlists. We have created playlists for our WMSR episodes as well as Production Dream playlists for each song episode, and more. Our $5 Lilac tier gets you access to our private Facebook community where we host a monthly live stream. Plus, you'll get access to our Discord server where we host our monthly watch parties. And also on the Discord, you can join in on the discussion with other Magnolia Street neighbors via the various interesting channels and threads. And then here's the $8 Rose tier. This gets you access to extra audio-visual content such as a once a month full-length video episode, unlimited bonus videos, uncut footage, cutting room floor footage, bloopers, outtakes, meditations, exclusive interviews, and old home videos from the vault, or spell or ritual videos, and more. It also gets you bonus content to coincide with our song-episodes, such as full-length demo streams of our original Practical Magic inspired music, plus lyric sheets, guitar chords, and original scratch demos, or bonus video performances of our songs and more. Lastly, we have our $15 Wisteria Vine tier. Just like a twisting Wisteria Vine, there's a way for you to stay connected with us, the Stinas. In this tier, we invite you to join our private Marco Polo video messaging app. The app is totally free for both Android and iOS. Sign up with your phone number or email, and we will help you do the rest. This is a great way to chat with each other in a more intimate group setting, face-to-face via video recording. We love to show each other our pets, our gardens, or anything else you'd like to share. And just a reminder that the higher the tier you sign up under, the more rewards you get, because you get all of the rewards of the tiers below it. You can upgrade or downgrade or even cancel at any time. So to support the podcast, head to patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, and there are additional ways to support us and our podcast that don't cost you any money. If you do listen on Spotify, please give us a star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a written review. We love sharing those on our Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, we would really appreciate any reposts or blurbs about our podcast. And make sure to tag us at Magnolia Street Podcast in your feed, posts, stories, and share us with your Practical Magic loving friends. Boom, boom, boom. All right.
There we go.
That's it. We hope you're loving our music. We can't
Yeah.
wait to make more. Happy summer solstice and come back next week for a new episode.
Yeah, and here's what you guys can do. Comment below if you're listening to this on Spotify. Tell us what your favorite song on the EP is so far, and we will read your comments on the next episode. I don't have any more energy left to give.
Enjoy your tacos. I'll
Thanks.
talk to you later.
All right.
Until next time, I'm Christina.
I'm Justina, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Ciao.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you go down to Magnolia Street when the wisteria roll out? At the house of magic and mystery, so would you go down to Magnolia Street?
I just
nice.
described the scene, and it's spitting out fire everywhere.
Oh, it's spitting fire. Lord, there was a fire.
Grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus.
What did she say?
I went down and gave me a cold pop.
Lord, that was a fire. That lady's so funny.
Got bronchitis.
Got bronchitis.
I know we got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. That's what I was trying to think of. Ain't nobody got time for that. That remix is chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm.